Chapter 1407. After the battle with Fan Jingye and the other two, the fact that Lin Tian had a peak-level eternal weapon and a divine pagoda made of grand mist heavenly crystal had been exposed. Many cultivators were shocked and envious. Many powerful cultivators had other ideas. The black-robed middle-aged man was naturally one of these people. He looked to be in his 40s or 50s, but his actual age was obviously not so. He had lived for at least tens of thousands of years. Now, he had found Lin Tian and wanted to seize the Eternal Weapon Stone Book and the Immortal Emperor Pagoda made of grand mist heavenly crystal. Hand them over obediently, and I may spare your life. If you resist and don't cooperate, you should know the only outcome. Death. This person was a rogue cultivator, but he was very powerful. His essence, qi, and spirit were very strong. Do you think you can kill me? Lin Tian looked at the man and said. The black-robed middle-aged man's eyes were cold. Don't think that you're amazing just because you killed a few early-stage Immortal Realm experts with an eternal weapon. Early-stage Immortal Realm experts are nothing. You can fight early-stage Immortal Realm experts with an eternal weapon, but you can't do anything in front of me, who is at the peak of middle-stage Immortal Realm. Is that so? You can try. Lin Tian andao. In fact, he could feel that the black-robed middle-aged man in front of him was very powerful. Even if he had a peak-level eternal weapon, he was no match for him. After all, his opponent was about to reach the peak of Immortal Realm. Even so, he couldn't show weakness to his opponent. That was not his character. I gave you a chance, but you didn't cherish it. You're courting death. The black-robed middle-aged man's voice was cold. He didn't say anything more and directly moved. He replaced the sword with the soul bow in his hand and pressed it toward Lin Tian. With a clang, the sound of a sword whistling through the air was so real that it shattered all the trees in the surroundings. Lin Tian was not careless. He directly held up the stone book and operated the Heart Sutra of Sunday. All the ancient runes and divine seals on the book lit up, emitting blazing divine light toward the black-robed middle-aged man. Boom! The momentum of the two collided, and a monstrous divine wave erupted. It was just a simple collision, but several mountains here were directly destroyed. Sand, stones, and wood splashed everywhere. It's really a peak-level eternal weapon! The black-robed middle-aged man's eyes lit up. Give it to me! He shook the longbow in his hand, and divine light surged. Lin Tian immediately felt the pressure as heavy as a mountain. A warrior who was about to reach the peak of Immortal Realm was really intimidating. If he didn't have the Supreme Reincarnation King body and a peak-level eternal weapon to protect him, he would have been crushed instantly. However, his expression didn't change in the slightest. The sure shoe's brilliance erupted, turning into a divine sun that pressed down. Boom! Intense divine power surged, causing the void to collapse. A few more mountains crumbled as a result. Powerful ripples spread out in all directions, spreading far and wide. For a moment, many cultivators in the nearby mountains were alarmed and looked in that direction. What happened there? It seems like someone is fighting. What? What a powerful wave! Let's go and take a look. Go! Soon, many cultivators began to move. Not long after, some people arrived. Seeing the battle between Lin Tian and the black-robed middle-aged man, they were all shocked. That person seems to be the one who killed Fan Jingye and the two elders of Titan Temple. Someone's eyes fell on Lin Tian, and his pupils immediately shrank. Yes, it's that person. Everyone trembled. Not long ago, Lin Tian had single-handedly killed Fan Jingye of the Fan family and the two immortal elders of the Titan Spirit Temple. Many people had seen this, and now, the news had spread everywhere. Some people who had witnessed the battle had even used their divine sense to imprint him. Naturally, many people knew what Lin Tian looked like. At this time, when they came here, they recognized him at a glance. There's another person. Who is that? Middle stage Immortal Realm, why is this person fighting with that ruthless young man? He doesn't seem to be from the Fan family or Titan Temple. He seems to be a rogue cultivator. He must be, after that ruthless young man's thing, The pagoda made of primordial heavenly crystal. These cultivators instantly thought of many things. Boom! 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 In front of them, on the battlefield, divine light surged, shaking the surroundings. Lin Tian and the black-robed middle-aged man were fighting. Naturally, they noticed that a crowd had arrived, but they didn't care too much. On the contrary, the black-robed middle-aged man's eyes narrowed slightly. He had found Lin Tian with great difficulty, and wanted to seize the treasure on Lin Tian. Naturally, he didn't want to be seen by more people. That would attract more powerhouses. If someone competed with him, it would be very troublesome. He didn't want to see that happen. "Let's end this quickly," he muttered to himself in a low voice. With a boom, he shook the longbow in his hand. Suddenly, a dense number of light arrows condensed between heaven and earth. They scattered one after another, like billions of birds flapping their wings, majestically heading toward Lin Tian. The power of the arrows was somewhat frightening. Under the might of this arrow, the void shook and distorted, as though it would shatter at the very next moment. This caused the cultivators who had rushed over from afar to feel a chill in their hearts. This arrow intent was simply too terrifying. It was basically capable of breaking through anything. Lin Tian had the stone book above his head to protect his body. The 4-symbol seal was activated, and it directly evolved into 6 silver layers of the Tao diagram of the 4 symbols. At the same time, he took out a broadsword. The blade was covered with ancient runes and divine seals, and there was a big crack on it. When he activated the 4-symbol seal with the stone book to meet the black-robed man, he also took out the broadsword to suppress his opponent. Using the 4-symbol seal as a shield, he used a special method to shake the broadsword. In an instant, the broadsword's aura became chaotic. A destructive aura immediately spread out, and the soul treasure instantly approached the black-robed man. Immediately, everyone in this place was greatly shocked. Especially the black-robed man, who was the first to change his expression, revealing a horrified expression. "You self-destructed your soul treasure?" The broadsword was obtained by Lin Tian from the great elder of Spirit Temple. There was a crack on it previously, but it was still a soul treasure. At this time, Lin Tian knew that he could not defeat his opponent with his combat strength, so he directly took out the soul treasure to self-destruct. Because he used the 4-symbol seal to conceal the self-destruction aura in the early stage of the broadsword's self-destruction, it was only exposed in the later stage. At this time, it landed near the black-robed man, who could not dodge at all, and his face instantly turned pale. "Explode!" Lin Tian spat out a word. With a boom, the broadsword exploded, and the destructive power directly shrouded all directions. "Ah!" The black-robed man screamed miserably as he was drowned in the destructive power. The destructive aura spread even further. The surrounding void was instantly annihilated. This guy actually destroyed a peak soul treasure so decisively. And so suddenly. Jiang Luoluo was moved. Boom! Boom! The void exploded, and the destructive aura intertwined in all directions. After a long time, the destructive aura dispersed, and the ground was shattered beyond recognition. The black-robed man was blown into pieces, and only his god soul was barely preserved. However, it was also badly damaged. The soul weapon-grade longbow was blown into pieces. The cultivators in this area were all shaken, and many of them felt a chill run down their spines. They had never thought that Lin Tian would be so decisive to destroy a peak soul treasure. In just a blink of an eye, he had blown up a middle immortal realm expert, leaving only a badly damaged god soul. Apparently, the black-robed man was not far from death, and his aura was extremely weak. "You think you can kill me?" Lin Tian dashed toward the black-robed man, condensing the high heaven sword in his hand. The black-robed man shivered. At this moment, his god soul showed fear, and he turned around to run away. When the soul treasure self-destructed, it was already hard for him to survive. At this moment, he was so weak that he could not resist Lin Tian. If he didn't run away, he would die. Lin Tian harumphed. He took a step forward, and the high heaven sword in his hand slashed down mercilessly. The sword aura was extremely sharp. The black-robed man was frightened. He screamed, "No! Stop!" Swoosh! A soft sound echoed, and the black-robed man's body and soul were destroyed in just a blink of an eye. A middle immortal realm expert! The surrounding cultivators shivered inwardly. They looked at Lin Tian, and many of them couldn't help but take a step back. Lin Tian stepped forward, appearing next to Jiang Luoluo. "Let's go." He didn't want to be surrounded, so he was about to leave. "You want to leave?" "Stay." A voice arose. A woman walked over from the distance. She was enchanting and charming, wearing revealing clothes. She looked around 21 or 22 years old, but her eyes were full of vicissitudes of life. Apparently, she was a senior who had lived for a long time. The woman arrived in front of them in just a blink of an eye. Her speed was fast, and her spirit, energy, and blood chi were extremely intimidating. She was at the peak of Immortal Realm. "It's Everlasting Yu-Ji of the Concord Immortal Sect. She's the Supreme Elder of this branch." "She's here?" Many people paled. The Concord Immortal Sect was a second-level great influence of the Purple Spill planet. They were extremely famous, and the cultivators of this world naturally knew of their Supreme Elder. Lin Tian's expression changed. This woman made him feel a true threat. "Little fellow, hand over that thing and I'll let you go." Everlasting Yuji had lived for many years, but she had always maintained the appearance of a young woman. Her words were filled with seductiveness. This caused all the cultivators here to be moved. They clearly understood what the thing she was referring to was Lin Tian's pagoda forged from Grand Mist Heaven crystal. Lin Tian naturally understood the woman's words. He directly said, "Don't even think about it." It was impossible for him to hand over the Immortal Emperor pagoda. At this time, he pulled Jiang Luoluo and prepared to leave this place as quickly as possible. "Then, I'll just have to snatch it." Everlasting Yuji narrowed her eyes and pressed forward. A powerful aura suddenly pressed down on Lin Tian. At this time, an old man rushed over from the east. His aura was tyrannical, pressing down on them. "Beast!" The old man roared, not concealing his killing intent at all. Almost at the same time, 5 figures flashed from the south, rushing over. The one in the lead was a middle-aged man. His killing intent was terrifying, like a god of death descending to the world. The Supreme Elder of the Spirit Temple, as well as the Patriarch of the Fan family and the 4 Elders of the Fan family. Chapter 1408. All the cultivators were startled. After the Supreme Elder of Joyous Immortal Sect, Everlasting Yu-Chi, the Supreme Elder of Titan's Spirit Shrine had also arrived. All of them were peak immortal experts. Even the Patriarch of Fan family of Desolation had arrived. Moreover, there were 4 mid-immortal elders of Fan family following him. All of them had come for Lin Tian. Lin Tian himself was shaken as well. He naturally knew that these people were up to no good. They were either here to steal his Immortal Emperor pagoda or purely to kill him. Regardless of which it was a dangerous situation for him. At this moment, without any hesitation, he pulled Jiang Luoluo and performed the 9th level of the duality steps. They transformed into a bolt of lightning and dashed into the distance. Facing a middle immortal realm expert, he could destroy one of his soul treasures to kill him. However, facing this group of people, he didn't have the ability to confront them directly. He could only run away with his speed. So fast! This speed! His speed is comparable to a peak of Immortal Realm expert! This person! Many people were shocked by the speed Lin Tian displayed at this moment. "You want to escape? Don't even think about it!" The Divine Temple's Grand Elder roared as he chased after Huang Xiaolong. The eyes of the head of the Fan family were filled with murderous intent. Naturally, he also gave chase. Behind him, the 4 elders of the Fan family followed suit. All of them moved at an extremely fast speed. Everlasting Yu-Chi of the Joyous Immortal Sect narrowed her eyes. She took light steps, leaving behind afterimages. Her speed was much faster than the Grand Elder of the Divine Temple and the head of the Fan clan. In the blink of an eye, the group was already very far away from this location. Boom! The Grand Elder of the Divine Temple unleashed a beam of killing intent that shattered the greater void. The power of laws intertwined within the beam of killing intent as it shot towards Lin Tian. At the same time, the Patriarch of the Fan Clan and the others also attacked, showing no mercy. Joyous Union Immortal School's everlasting Yu Qi was also making her move. Her aura was not vigorous, but it carried a feminine aura that sealed off all directions. For a time, rumbling sounds could be heard as the surrounding land was destroyed. Lin Tian took Jiang Luoluo and quickly escaped. He could naturally feel the attacks from the people behind him. They were extremely terrifying and made his scalp tingle. After all, there were 3 Peak of Immortal Realm experts among them. His current cultivation base was much weaker than theirs. He used the Eternal Level Stone Book to protect himself and fled at top speed. However, he failed to completely avoid the attacks and suffered heavy injuries in the blink of an eye. The pursuers were simply too powerful. With his current cultivation base, even with the protection of a peak eternal weapon, he could not completely block the attacks of these people. Lin Tian, put me down. You can escape by yourself, Jiang Luoluo said. Lin Tian carried her and fled. Although his speed was fast, it was definitely not comparable to his peak state. She felt that if he let her go, Lin Tian's speed would increase and he would be able to avoid these people. Lin Tian shook his head. Although he could increase his speed by a little if he was alone, how could he leave Jiang Luoluo behind at this time? Abandoning Jiang Luoluo at this time was equivalent to sending her to the death penalty platform. The Supreme Elder of the Spirit Shrine and the Patriarch of the Fan Clan would definitely kill Jiang Luoluo mercilessly because she was with him. If this goes on, we will all die. Put me down and you can at least live, Jiang Luoluo said anxiously. Lin Tian shook his head. It was impossible for him to do that. Behind them, divine energy surged and the killing intent was terrifying. How dare you touch the brother of the Patriarch of the Fan Clan? You're courting death, an elder of the Fan Clan said coldly. The Patriarch of the Fan Clan chased at the front. He did not say anything, but the killing intent in his eyes was incomparably thick. Kill! The Supreme Elder of the Spirit Shrine's eyes were filled with killing intent. The everlasting Yu Qi of the Concord Immortal Sect attacked as well, but there was no killing intent. She kept an eye on Lin Tian, waiting for an opportunity to seize the Immortal Emperor Pagoda. Lin Tian used the stone book to protect himself as he fled with Jiang Luoluo. From time to time, he would be injured, and his face gradually paled. At the same time, many cultivators along the way saw this scene. Many of them were shocked and could not help but tremble. That person, rumor has it that he killed the Grand Elder and Second Elder of the Spirit Shrine, as well as Fan Jingye of the Fan Clan. Now he's being hunted. The Patriarch of the Fan Clan and 4 elders, the Supreme Elder of the Spirit Shrine, and the Supreme Elder of the Concord Immortal Sect, that ruthless person, no matter how strong he is, he can't stop them. Many people trembled. Lin Tianyi continued to flee, and his injuries worsened. He could not shake off the Patriarch of the Fan Clan and the others, and the distance between them was getting closer and closer. A dark light flashed in his eyes as he pulled Jiang Luoluo in a fixed direction. You killed my grandson. Even if you run to the ends of the world, you will die. The Supreme Elder of the Spirit Shrine roared as he raised his hand and slashed out a large number of killing lights. The attacks of the Fan Clan experts were even more shocking, and the killing lights were denser. This caused Lin Tian to bleed from his mouth. Even with the protection of a peak eternal weapon, he was still heavily injured. However, he did not slow down. He continued to fly in a fixed direction. He's dead. How can he survive in such a situation? He's going to die. Along the way, many cultivators saw this scene and shook their heads. I wonder who will get the pagoda forged from primordial heavenly crystal in the end, someone said. Lin Tianyi continued to flee. After an unknown period of time, a mine appeared in front of him. At first glance, it was dark inside, and he could not see what was inside. As soon as he arrived, he rushed straight into the mine. Lin Tian, where are we? Jiang Luoluo turned pale. There was an eternal realm ancient demonic beast sleeping in the mine. Lin Tian knew this, but he still rushed into the mine. Are you trying to? She looked at the patriarch of the Fan clan and the others who were chasing after them and vaguely guessed something. Don't speak. Lin Tian transmitted his voice. His speed was very fast, but his divine power was limited. If he simply kept running, he would definitely be caught by the Fan family patriarch and the others. In a head-on confrontation, he was no match for them. In order to get out of this dangerous situation, he could only think of one idea, which was to lure them into the mine where the Eternal Realm demonic beast was hibernating. Then, with the killing power of these people, the ancient demonic beast would wake up from its slumber and join in the fight. This would give him a chance to escape. Of course, he might be in more danger if he did so. After all, the Eternal Realm ancient demonic beast was not his friend. Once it woke up and was angry, he might be in trouble. But now, he had no other choice. He could only use this method to gamble and find a way to survive. He was very fast. He brought Jiang Luoluo and suppressed his aura. Soon, they arrived at the depths of the mine. There was a huge black cave in front of them. It was so dark that even divine consciousness could not see through it. Only when one looked carefully, one could feel an extremely oppressive fluctuation. That ancient demonic beast seems to be in that position. Jiang Luoluo transmitted her voice. She had seen the ancient demonic beast turn over by chance, and remembered the approximate position. Lin Tian naturally guessed this and stopped at this time. Then, in a flash, the patriarch of the Fan family and the others caught up. Except for the everlasting Yuchi of the joyous immortal sect, the others were full of murderous intent. They waved their hands, filling the sky with murderous light. Suddenly, there was a rumbling sound. All kinds of murderous light pressed down on Lin Tian. Lin Tian's eyes flashed with a dark light. He used the 9th tier of the yin-yang steps to dodge the murderous light. The murderous light directly entered the black cave behind him. Divine energy exploded, shaking the entire mine. Let's see how long you can last, the patriarch of the Fan family said coldly, taking a step forward. The supreme elder of the divine temple of Titan closed in on Lin Tian and reached out to grab Lin Tian. His violent, murderous intent seemed to want to destroy everything. The everlasting Yuchi of the joyous immortal sect also reached out to grab Lin Tian, her eyes flashing. Her main goal was to seize the immortal Emperor Pagoda. Die, you beast! The other elders of the Fan family attacked together. In the blink of an eye, they were in front of Lin Tian, their murderous light terrifying to the soul. However, it was also at this moment that an incomparably terrifying demonic aura rose up from the mine. In the black cave behind Lin Tian, a pair of gigantic demonic eyes opened. Demonic light flashed, revealing the body of the demonic creature. It was actually a violet-scaled python. Its demonic eyes were filled with an eerie light, as if it was a hell serpent. Roar! A loud roar came out of its mouth. The sound waves rolled, shattering everything. The terrifying pressure of the Eternal Realm was undeniable. Because of his relationship with Jiang Luoluo, Lin Tian had long known that there was an Eternal Realm ancient demonic beast here. Just now, he deliberately lured the attacks of the patriarch of the Fan family and the others to awaken this demonic beast. He knew that it would be furious when it woke up, so he was prepared. At this time, he directly summoned the immortal Emperor Pagoda. This incomparably sturdy immortal Emperor Pagoda completely enveloped himself and Jiang Luoluo. He also used the eternal weapon level stone book to protect himself and Jiang Luoluo. However, the patriarch of the Fan family and the supreme elder of the divine temple of Titan Spirit were different. These people did not know the situation here and were only attacking Lin Tian. At this time, they did not have time to defend themselves. Their eyes were wide open, and they were shocked and terrified. Then, in an instant, a violent sound wave rushed over, directly covering Lin Tian, the patriarch of the Fan family, and the others. Ah! Miserable shrieks immediately rang out, blood mist splashed in all directions. the Taishang elder of the Spirit Divine Palace, everlasting Ug of the harmonious immortal sect, and the Fan family patriarch all suffered the same fate. They were all sent flying, blood gushing out of their mouths, their bodies covered in cracks. Lin Tian was also in trouble. However, because he had prepared a perfect defense, the Great Tao Reincarnation Diagram, the Stone Book, and the Immortal Emperor Pagoda helped him withstand most of the sound attack. Although he was injured, compared to the patriarch of the Fan family and the others, he was much better off. Go! Chapter 1409. An eternal realm ancient demonic beast was too terrifying. It had only roared once, and it had not used any demonic aura, but it still possessed terrifying destructive power. The Supreme Elder of Spirit Temple, Patriarch of Fan family, and the others were severely injured and almost died on the spot. Lin Tian had been prepared for this. He had propped up the Great Tao Reincarnation Diagram, the Eternal Weapon Level Stone Book, and the sturdy Immortal Emperor Pagoda, but he was still severely injured. He felt like his body was about to shatter. He gritted his teeth. While he could still move, and while Patriarch of Fan family and the others were severely injured, he rushed out of the mine with Jiang Luoluo. The process was smoother than he had imagined. Patriarch of Fan family and the others could not stop him, and the terrifying ancient demonic beast did not attack him. In just a moment, he had rushed out of the mine with Jiang Luoluo. Only then did he dare to turn his head around to take a look. It was also when he turned his head around that he discovered something. The ancient demonic beast in the depths of the mine actually had a strand of true divine energy lingering around its body. It's not sleeping. It's trying to break through to the true immortal realm? His heart trembled. This ancient demonic beast was trying to break through to the true immortal realm. His eyes narrowed as he stared at the scene. He then realized that the wisp of true immortal chi around the ancient demonic beast's body had suddenly become chaotic. It's at the critical juncture of breaking through to the true immortal realm, so it can't attack. That roar just now will greatly affect its breakthrough. That's why it didn't attack me and watched me escape from the mine. In that instant, he guessed many things. Jiang Luoluo was protected by him. Although she was also injured by the demonic beast's roar, her injuries were not serious. At this time, she followed his gaze to the depths of the mine. After a moment, she understood the situation, and her face was immediately filled with shock. It's already breaking through to that realm? She was shocked. Patriarch of Fan family and the others were severely injured, but they were still alive. At this time, they also discovered the ancient demonic beast in the depths of the mine. They could not help but feel a sense of fear. Senior, we didn't mean to disturb you. Please forgive us. The body of the Supreme Elder of the Tailing Divine Temple and the others were cracked. They could feel the terror of the ancient demonic beast in front of them. Its aura made their souls tremble. This was definitely a terrifying existence at the peak of the eternal realm. It was even close to entering the true immortal realm. A demon of this level could sweep away everything under the true immortal realm. It was so terrifying that even the family master of the remote antiquity Fan family was terrified. We've disturbed your meditation. Please forgive us for our recklessness. We'll leave right away. The Fan family patriarch bowed and slowly retreated. The wisp of true immortal chi outside the ancient demonic beast's body was still in chaos. Its huge eyes looked down at the head of the Fan family and the others. Then, a bone-chilling coldness appeared in its eyes. It sensed the same killing aura from these people as the one that had landed in its seclusion. That killing aura had affected it quite a bit when it was trying to break through to the true immortal realm. Roar! It looked at the group. Because it was in the process of breaking through to the true immortal realm, it was unable to use its demonic power. It let out a furious roar. For a moment, the terrifying destructive power of sound once again spread out. Ah! With shrill screams, 4 clouds of mist exploded. The 4 middle-stage immortal realm elders of the Fan family were already severely injured. Now, they exploded under the power of the roar. Even their divine souls were not spared. They were shattered along with their bodies. The Supreme Elder of the Spirit Temple, the everlasting Yuji of the Concord Immortal Sect, and the Family Master of the Fan family were all at the peak of the immortal realm. They barely managed to survive the roar. Their bodies were badly damaged, and their origin and divine souls were cracked. They were directly thrown out of the mine by the roar. "It's so scary! It's just a roar, but..." Outside the mine, Jiang Luoluo's heart trembled. Lin Tian was also shocked. He then realized that the wisp of true immortal qi outside the ancient demonic beast's body was even more chaotic. Obviously, the roar just now had affected its breakthrough to the true immortal realm. Within the mine, the ancient magical beast's eyes were ice cold as it looked out from the depths. It icily swept its gaze over Lin Tian. After which, the entire mine once again became pitch black. Its body could no longer be seen, and everything within had also become blurry. Lin Tianji felt his scalp go numb. Being glanced at by an ancient demonic beast that was about to break through to the true immortal realm, even he could not help but tremble. However, as the ancient demonic beast figure disappeared, he calmed down slightly. He looked at the mine in front of him, and a faint light flashed in his eyes. There should be very powerful defensive Dao inscriptions in this mine. Otherwise, it would not have been able to withstand the two roars of that ancient demonic beast. At this time, weak screams rang out. The Supreme Elder of the Spirit Temple, the everlasting Yuji of the Concord Immortal Sect, and the Family Master of the Fan family were all knocked out of the mine. They were severely injured and on the verge of death. Lin Tian looked in the direction of the sound. When he saw the miserable state of the three of them, he immediately sneered and approached the three of them. The Family Master of the Fan family and the other two were recovering from their injuries. At this time, when they saw Lin Tian approaching them, they were immediately enraged. "You deliberately led us into that mine?" The Family Master of the Fan family roared. At this time, of course, he would not believe that Lin Tian had coincidentally escaped into that mine and that there was a terrifying demonic beast that was about to reach the true immortal realm inside. He was not a fool. "So what if I did?" Lin Tianling smiled. The Family Master of the Fan family was furious. Lin Tian had led them into that mine, and the Fan family had lost 4 middle-stage immortal realm experts. He had also almost died. "I'll tear you into pieces!" The man roared, and his killing intent was overflowing. He took a step forward and approached Lin Tian. He moved his hands, and a faint divine light surrounded Lin Tian. Lin Tianling snorted. He raised his leg and kicked the man's chest. Immediately, with a bang, the Family Master of the Fan family coughed up blood and flew away. "With your current state, any early-stage Emperor Realm cultivator can kill you. How dare you take the initiative to attack me?" he sneered. "You!" The Family Master of the Fan family was shocked and angry. At the same time, the everlasting Yuji of the Concord Immortal Sect and the Supreme Elder of the Spirit Temple were also shocked. They were severely injured. At this moment, they were in the same state as the Family Master of the Fan family. Although Lin Tian was also injured, his injuries were far less serious than theirs. In terms of combat strength, he was far superior to them. Immediately, the two of them did not say anything unnecessary. They directly fled into the distance. Their speed was extremely fast. In a flash, they covered tens of thousands of feet. Chapter 1410. The Patriarch of the Fan family, everlasting Yuchi of the Joyous Immortal Sect, and the Supreme Elder of the Titan Spiritual Shrine all fled at lightning speed. They knew very well that it was impossible for them to stop Lin Tian in their current state. Lin Tian's expression was cold. He waved his hand, and a powerful sword momentum suddenly spread out, instantly turning into a monstrous hurricane. Bang! 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 3 loud sounds rang out, and in an instant, the 3 people who had fled far away were all knocked back. "You 3 are at the peak of the sempiternal realm. Why are you running away from me, an Emperor Realm cultivator?" He looked at the 3 of them and forced them to move forward step by step, not bothering to hide his killing intent at all. At this time, all 3 of them were severely injured and were not far from death. In terms of combat strength, he was far superior to the three of them. Don't be too smug. Even if we are severely injured, don't think that you can kill us easily. The Supreme Elder of the Titan's spiritual shrine gritted his teeth and said coldly. Is that so? Lin Tian looked at the person and took a step forward, appearing beside him. Then, he kicked the person to the ground, causing the ground to tremble violently. The Supreme Elder of the Titan's spiritual shrine coughed up blood and was shocked and angry at the same time. Little beast! Lin Tian raised his leg and kicked the person again, directly interrupting him. Old fool! You buzz! The stone book shone brightly, interrupting the person again. At this time, Lin Tian directly activated the peak-level eternal weapon. It's very easy for me to kill you now, he said indifferently. As soon as he finished speaking, the stone book directly pressed down on the Supreme Elder of the Titan's spiritual shrine with a boom, landing on the other party's body. Immediately, with a puff, the Supreme Elder of the Titan's spiritual shrine was directly shattered into pieces. His divine soul was not destroyed. At this time, he roared in shock and anger, wrapping the broken pieces of flesh with his soul power and quickly reassembling them. However, Lin Tian was right in front of him. Naturally, he wouldn't give him such a chance. He immediately summoned his pure young flames and the reincarnation diagram of the monarch territory. At the same time, the spiritual Titan Temple's Supreme Elder's shattered body and soul were enveloped. The Supreme Elder of the Divine Temple let out a miserable shriek as he was suppressed by the pure young flames and the reincarnation diagram of monarch territory. His body was crushed even more severely, and his soul was also crumbling inch by inch. No matter how hard he struggled, it was useless. No! After a dozen breaths of time, a scream of despair and unwillingness rang out. The Supreme Elder of the Divine Temple was dead, his body incinerated by the pure young flames, and his soul completely shattered under the crushing pressure of the reincarnation diagram of the king's territory. Destruction of body and soul. He killed a peak immortal expert! Jiang Luoluo glared at him. Even though she knew that the Grand Elder of the Titan's spiritual shrine was severely injured, and his current strength was far from his peak condition, she couldn't help but be shocked when she saw Lin Tian kill him. After all, he was at the peak of the immortal realm. At the same time, the Patriarch of the Fan family and Ageless Yuji of the Concord Immortal sect also changed their expressions and couldn't help but tremble. In the next moment, two whooshing sounds could be heard. The two of them didn't stop at all and fled again like before. Lin Tianling smiled and used the stone book to vibrate the heaven ascending sword scripture, directly cutting off their escape route and forcing them back. You can't escape, he said coldly. With a buzzing sound, a golden divine sword condensed from his right hand, mixed with the aura of the eternal weapon-level stone book. It was so powerful that it seemed to be able to cut through everything. He walked towards the Patriarch of the Fan family and Ageless Yuji of the Concord Immortal sect. As soon as this aura was released, the Patriarch of the Fan family and Ageless Yuji couldn't help but tremble again. This was because, in their current state, the sword chi that Lin Tianling had summoned at this moment was enough to threaten their lives. Fellow Taoist, I've never thought of killing you. I've never had the intention to kill you. I was just confused for a moment, and wanted to seize the sect Divine Pagoda. Can you show mercy? Then, as an apology, I can give you generous compensation. No matter what you want, as long as the Concord Immortal sect has it, we'll definitely get it for you, Ageless Yuji said at this time. Naturally, she didn't want to die here. Show mercy? Lin Tianling tilted his head and looked. Do you think that's possible? The other party had come to seize his divine pagoda, and it was already a matter of life and death. Without any hesitation, he slashed down with the golden divine sword in his hand. With a puff, Ageless Yuji exploded on the spot, blood splattering everywhere. Her spirit was not destroyed, and it was filled with shock, anger, and fear. You die! Lin Tianji said this word, and the stone book directly pressed down, shattering Ageless Yuji's spirit body. In the blink of an eye, only the Patriarch of the Fan family was left of the three peak immortal realm experts. Lin Tianling held the golden divine sword and walked towards this person. It's your turn. His voice was indifferent. The patriarch of the Fan family's face was ashen, and a sinister light flashed in his eyes. In the next moment, he fled again. This time, his speed suddenly increased by a lot compared to before, and the aura around his body was also much stronger. Clearly, he had used some kind of strange technique to forcefully stimulate his body's potential. Whoosh! In just an instant, the patriarch of the Fan family had rushed extremely far away. So fast! Jiang Luoluo was slightly shocked. Lin Tianling's expression didn't change at all. He wrapped Jiang Luoluo in a golden divine light and chased after the patriarch of the Fan family. He used the 9th tier of the duality steps, and his speed was very fast. He steadily followed behind the patriarch of the Fan family. At the same time, the sun's nirvana technique was quickly activated. Blood-red flames curled around his body, causing his injuries to heal at an extremely fast speed. Previously you were so happy chasing after me, but now, how should I put it? Every dog has its day, he said with a sneer. He chased after the patriarch of the Fan family with Jiang Luoluo. With a wave of his hand, he swept out a large expanse of sword energy. The patriarch of the Fan family's expression was ugly. He dodged Lin Tianling's sword energy with difficulty, and quickly fled into the distance. At this time, he used a strange technique from his family to forcefully increase his aura and speed. He couldn't maintain it for long. At most, he could maintain it for a quarter of an hour. After that, his aura would weaken again, and he would have to pay a small price. Even so, his current speed was far from his peak. Therefore, even though he was furious at Lin Tianling's words, he didn't dare to stop at all. Lin Tianling chased after him. From time to time, he would send out a sharp sword energy that cut through the void and slashed at the patriarch of the Fan family. The patriarch of the Fan family gritted his teeth and fled, his body covered in blood. In the blink of an eye, they had crossed dozens of desolate mountains. Many cultivators saw this scene. That is, the patriarch of the Fan family, and the ruthless person who killed Fan Jingye and the 2 elders of the Divine Temple of Titan. That ruthless person is chasing after the patriarch of the Fan family of the primeval era? Wasn't the patriarch of the Fan family the one chasing after that ruthless person? But now, he's the one being chased? Apart from the patriarch of the Fan family, there were also a few elders from the Fan family, the supreme elder of the Divine Temple of Titan, and the everlasting Yuji from the Union Celestial Sect. But now, the patriarch of the Fan family is the only one being chased. Where did the elders from the Fan family, the supreme elder of the Divine Temple of Titan, and the everlasting Yuji go? Looking at this scene, could it be that the powerful elders from the Fan family, the supreme elder of the Divine Temple of Titan, and the everlasting Yuji from the Union Celestial Sect have all been killed by that ruthless person? How is that possible? The supreme elder of the Divine Temple of Titan and the everlasting Yuji from the Union Celestial Sect were at the peak of the immortal realm. The elders from the Fan family were at the middle stage of the immortal realm. How could they be killed by that ruthless person? No matter how monstrous and abnormal he is, he's only at the peak of the Emperor realm in the end. How could he possibly kill 2 experts at the peak of the immortal realm and 4 experts at the middle stage of the immortal realm? But now, the patriarch of the Fan family is chasing after him, and the others have all disappeared. Is there any other possibility other than being killed by that ruthless person? Seeing this, many cultivators trembled and came up with all kinds of guesses. Clang! The sound of the sword was ear-piercing. Lin Tian chased after the patriarch of the Fan family with Jiang Luoluo. The stone book glowed as it was activated by the High Heaven Sword scripture. Immediately, the sound of the sword resonated as a large expanse of golden sword radiance slashed toward the patriarch of the Fan family. The patriarch of the Fan family quickly dodged, but he wasn't able to completely avoid it. A sword light pierced through his abdomen, causing blood to gush out. His complexion paled. As he healed his wounds, he continued to fly away. At the same time, he shouted out to all the cultivators he saw along the way. Fellow Taoists, please lend me a hand in dealing with this demon. My fan family will be endlessly grateful. Ancient cultivation scriptures, powerful soul treasures, supernatural abilities, secret techniques, life-extending medicines, divine materials for refining weapons, anything you want can be obtained. As he spoke, many cultivators couldn't help but be moved. Many of their eyes shined with a sharp light. This was because this was the patriarch of the Fan family, a family that had overlooked the Purple Spill planet for countless years. If they could help the patriarch of this lineage and form some sort of relationship with the Fan family, then their future path of cultivation would be smooth and the benefits would be unimaginable. But even so, even though many people here were moved and their eyes shone with a sharp light, in the end, no one dared to move. After all, during this period of time, Lin Tian's fame had spread. He controlled a peak-level eternal weapon and could kill an immortal realm powerhouse with his Emperor realm cultivation. Who would dare to provoke such a person? Seeing that no one dared to step forward, the patriarch of the Fan family's face became even more livid. He was both shocked and angry. It was also at this moment that Lin Tian's speed suddenly soared. Like a golden bolt of lightning, he instantly approached the patriarch of the Fan family. "You, Buzz!" Lin Tian directly propped up the reincarnation diagram of the king's territory and the eternal weapon level stone book. The two combined as one, suppressing the patriarch of the Fan family. Then, the sixth realm of the four symbols seal was activated, and the six divine diagrams merged into one. With a whoosh, they entered the patriarch of the Fan family's divine sense. The patriarch of the Fan family immediately let out a scream of horror. The Tao diagram of the four symbols entered his divine sense, and rushed directly to his divine sense. He was terrified and struggled violently. "What are you doing? Stop! Stop! Chapter 14:11. The flesh shell of the patriarch of Fan family was perfectly preserved, but his soul was destroyed. This was naturally done by Lin Tian on purpose. After all, the patriarch of Fan family was an expert at the peak of immortal realm. The flesh and blood essence contained in his flesh shell was extremely shocking. With his flesh shell and the saint refining treasure technique he mastered, he could at least step into the half-step immortal realm. He raised his hand and shot out a ray of divine light, putting the flesh shell into the stone ring. "Why did you leave his body here?" Jiang Luoluo was puzzled. "It's useful," Lin Tian said simply. He wrapped Jiang Luoluo in golden divine light and left. Soon, the two were far away from here. The surrounding cultivators were all aghast, their hearts trembling. The Fan family patriarch was. Many people's hearts trembled. The primeval Fan family had been passed down since the Desolate Era. They had overlooked the Purple Spill planet for countless years. No one in this world dared to provoke them. But now, the family head of this bloodline had been killed in this divine garden just like that. That person, who is he? How can he be so bold? He dared to kill the Fan family patriarch. The other elders of the Fan family, Everlasting Yu of the Concord Immortal Sect, and the Grand Elder of the Spirit Temple, followed the patriarch of the Fan family to hunt him down. Now it seems that they have all been killed by him. This is crazy. Let's not talk about the Grand Elders of the Spirit Temple and the Concord Immortal Sect. They must be afraid of that person now, but the Fan family of the Primeval Immortal Sect will never let this go. After all, even the patriarch of the Fan family was killed. How can the Fan family allow that person to live? The Fan family has an eternal realm expert and a true immortal artifact. That ruthless person really pierced through the heavens. The cultivators' hearts trembled. Lin Tian brought Jiang Luoluo away from the place where they had just been. At this time, they found a secluded place and set up 9 great ceiling formations. Only then did they take out the flesh shell of the Fan family's patriarch. He used the saint-refined treasure art on this body and spent half a month to completely refine it. His cultivation base had reached the half-step immortal realm from the peak of Emperor Sky realm. He was only half a step away from the true immortal realm. My fleshly body, divine power, and divine soul have all become much stronger, he muttered to himself. Staying in this place, He circulated the Heart Sutra of Sun to consolidate his half-step sempiternal realm cultivation base. It was not until half a month later that he woke up and thoroughly consolidated his half-step sempiternal realm cultivation base. Then, he left with Jiang Luoluo. Roar! Roar! The ancient immortal divine garden was extremely vast. The roars of the demonic beasts would resound through the sky from time to time, causing the ground to tremble. Lin Tian and Jiang Luoluo continued to walk through the divine garden. In the blink of an eye, several days had passed. On this day, a piece of news suddenly spread through the divine garden. Someone had discovered a sea of lightning in a barren mountain at the very center of the divine garden. It occupied an extremely vast area, as if it had existed since ancient times. The expression of all the cultivators in the divine garden changed at the first moment. A sea of lightning? Could it be the place of inheritance of the legendary peerless lightning technique? In the blink of an eye, the entire ancient immortal divine garden was in an uproar. Many cultivators rushed toward the center of the divine garden. Lin Tian and Jiang Luoluo naturally heard the news and were immediately moved. Let's go and have a look. Lin Tian was very decisive. He directly opened up the golden divine light and used it to envelop Jiang Luoluo. Then, he quickly rushed toward the center of the divine garden. After about an hour, he brought Jiang Luoluo to the center of the divine garden. At a glance, he saw a dense crowd of cultivators, all of whom had extraordinary spiritual energy. They were all walking toward the same barren mountain. There was not much vegetation on that barren mountain, but it was very tall. At the foot of the mountain, there was a mountain cave. At this time, all the cultivators who had come to this place had rushed into the interior of the mountain through this mountain cave. Lin Tian did not hesitate. He brought Jiang Luoluo and rushed into the mountain cave in a flash. The mountain cave was a little dim. He and Jiang Luoluo walked through it, all the way to the interior of the mountain. Then, gradually, the surrounding space became wider, and the light began to become stronger. Then, they unknowingly entered a special space. It was like a desert inside. The ground was covered with red barren stones, and there were bursts of violent roars coming from the depths of the desert. Lin Tian looked in the direction of the sound and found that many cultivators were rushing in that direction. At the same time, he vaguely felt an extremely majestic thunderbolt force from that position. It was similar to the thunderbolt force contained in the ancient runes on the stone wall, but it was countless times stronger. It was not at the same level at all. His eyes were intertwined with a sharp light. He brought Jiang Luoluo and moved faster. In the blink of an eye, they arrived at the depths of the desert. As far as the eye could see, the ground in front of them was scorched black. The air was densely intertwined with lightning. Some were blood-red, some were black, and some were purple, blue, and silver. All kinds of different colors of lightning intertwined in that position. It was unknown how vast the area was, but it was as if there were ancient lightning dragons rolling in it. This is... Jiang Luoluo stared with her eyes wide open. The scene in front of her was really spectacular. It was really like a sea of lightning. Not only her, but even Lin Tian could not help but be moved at this time. He was shocked by the scene in front of him. Ah! There was a miserable scream. A Nirvana realm cultivator looked at the sea of lightning and could not help but move closer to the sea of lightning. Then, he was directly hit by the unparalleled thunderbolt force and was shattered on the spot. Even his spiritual soul was destroyed at the same time. This thunderbolt, a Nirvana realm cultivator just moved a little closer. He did not even enter the sea of lightning before he was shocked to death. If he really enters the sea of lightning, who can withstand it? Does it contain the legendary peerless thunderbolt skill? Judging from the situation, it is 100% true. Yes, it definitely is. Many cultivators had come to this place. They were all very energetic. At this time, they were all staring at the sea of lightning. Then, gradually, someone stepped forward and supported a peak heavenly treasure for a hidden heavenly master. He carefully approached the sea of lightning, but the result was the same as the previous Nirvana realm cultivator. Before he could really get close to the sea of lightning, His body and soul were directly destroyed by the terrifying thunderbolt force in the Sea of Lightning. The peak heavenly treasure used to protect his body was also shattered into pieces. This, even a heavenly master! All the cultivators in this place were horrified. Many people could not help but tremble. They all involuntarily stepped back and stood further away to watch the Sea of Lightning. Lin Tian stood in the distance and observed the Sea of Lightning. The shock in his eyes grew stronger. Even someone as powerful as him could not help but be shocked by the terror of the Sea of Lightning. Chapter 14:12. Also, tomorrow's update will be a little late. Please forgive me, everyone. The dragon will note down the chapters that he owes. Including today's chapter, there are a total of 5 chapters. He will make up for it later. Chapter 14:13. Thunder rumbled. Bolts of lightning rolled ahead like thunder dragons, intertwining with different colors. The aura was terrifying. Lin Tian stared fixedly at the Sea of Lightning. He felt that every wisp of lightning arc could easily destroy an eternal realm existence, as if it was the will of the heavens and earth. Zhong Wudi's thunder skill inheritance might be inside. But who can get it in such a situation? Jiang Luoluo said. Although her cultivation was not strong, her spiritual sense was not weak. She could feel how terrifying the Sea of Lightning was. Whoosh! 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 The sound of something breaking through the air was very loud. 3 figures rushed over from afar. Their auras were terrifying. That's the 5th elder, 6th elder, and 7th elder of the Xian Luo Immortal Palace. They are all at the middle stage of the immortal realm. Some cultivators recognized the 3 of them. In the next moment, another sound of something breaking through the air was heard. The experts of the Purple Evolved God sect had also arrived. There were 3 of them, and all of them were at the middle stage of the immortal realm. The Purple Evolved God sect has also arrived. 3 immortal realm experts. Many cultivators were shocked. The experts of the Xian Luo Immortal Palace and the Purple Evolved God sect have arrived. Then, the experts of the Fan family of the remote antiquity should also come, right? Didn't they come a long time ago? Fan Jingye, the brother of the patriarch of the Fan family, several middle-stage immortal realm elders, and even the patriarch of the Fan family, who is at the peak of the immortal realm, came in person. However, they were all killed. Oh, right. I forgot about it. Speaking of which, where did that unknown young man come from? He is too strong and too bold. He even dared to kill the patriarch of the Fan family of the remote antiquity. Really? I reckon the old ancestor of the Fan family will be infuriated. That's an indestructible existence of the eternal realm. Many people were discussing. At this moment, Lin Tian and Jiang Luoluo were standing in an inconspicuous corner. No one noticed them. Will the patriarch of the Fan family really come out? The patriarch of the eternal realm is terrifying. Jiang Luoluo listened to the cultivator's discussion and whispered. I don't know if the old ancestor of the Fan family, who is in the eternal realm, will come. But I guess a few of their supreme elders will come. After all, their family head has died outside. Lin Tian now. The patriarch, who represented the face of the clan, had been beheaded, several elders had been killed, and the patriarch's younger brother had died. In addition, there was the legendary peerless lightning technique in the Divine Garden. No matter how one looked at it, this clan would still send experts to kill their way here. As he spoke, his expression did not change at all. He stared straight at the Sea of Lightning in front of him. That place was silver, blue, purple, black, and red. 5 different colors of lightning interweaved, densely covering an unknown area. From time to time, the crackling sound of electric arcs and the rumbling of thunder could be heard. As he looked at it, golden divine light intertwined in his eyes. He could feel the aura of lightning that was similar to the ancient runes he had comprehended on the stone wall. The more he tried to comprehend it, the clearer the feeling became. The elders of the Xian Luo Immortal Palace and the Purple Yen Divine Sect are siding with Lei Hai. A voice came from the front. As far as the eye could see, the elders of the Xianlu Immortal Palace and the Purple Yen Divine Sect were moving. They moved cautiously toward the Sea of Lightning, and at the same time, they activated their soul treasures. For a moment, all the cultivators' eyes fell on these two people. The experts of the two great sects were at the middle stage of the immortal realm. Soon, they were 3 feet away from the Sea of Lightning. They have already crossed the distance of the heavenly venerable expert. They are indeed powerful figures at the middle stage of the immortal realm. Previously, a heavenly venerable expert was annihilated when he was 5 feet away from the Sea of Lightning. At this time, the people of the Xianlu Immortal Palace and the Purple Yen Divine Sect were 3 feet away from the Sea of Lightning. Naturally, many people were shocked. However, it only lasted for a moment. After all, both of them were experts at the middle immortal realm. Experts at this level were much stronger than celestial masters. Naturally, they were closer to the Sea of Lightning than celestial masters. It was normal for them to be closer to the Sea of Lightning than celestial masters. I wonder if they can get close to the Sea of Lightning and enter it. I'm sure that the Sea of Lightning contains the inheritance of Zone Woody's Thunder Technique. As long as they can enter it, they will be able to obtain the Thunder Technique. That's not necessarily true. Whether they can obtain the Thunder Technique inheritance depends on whether they can withstand the lightning in the Sea of Lightning. Some cultivators discussed as they stared at the two people from the Xianlu Immortal Palace and the Purple Yen Divine Sect. At the same time, the other experts of the two sects were also looking at the two people. They were very cautious, with divine power surging out of their bodies. Obviously, they were prepared to pull back the experts of their sects if there was any abnormality. These two are very powerful. However, I feel that it's not possible for them to enter the Sea of Lightning. Jian Luoluo was also looking at the two people from the Xianlu Immortal Palace and the Purple Yen Divine Sect, and she shook her head. Lin Tian did not express his opinion. He did not even pay attention to the people from the Purple Yen Divine Sect and the Xianlu Immortal Palace. His eyes were fixed on the Sea of Lightning. Strands of golden divine light intertwined in his eyes as he continued to observe the Sea of Lightning. In the blink of an eye, dozens of breaths passed. The two elders from the Xianlu Immortal Palace and the Purple Yen Divine Sect were about 10 feet away from the Sea of Lightning. Then, they began to tremble, unable to move forward. The spirit treasures above their heads were trembling violently, and cracks quickly appeared on them. At the same time, the Sea of Lightning in front of them began to roll. Thunder rumbled, and a terrifying aura swept out like a wave. The two Immortal Realm elders from the Xianlu Immortal Palace and the Purple Yen Divine Sect who were about 10 feet away from the Sea of Lightning trembled. The protective spirit treasures above their heads were instantly torn apart. They could not help but cough up blood. Their bodies were instantly covered with cracks. Retreat! More than 10 feet away from the Sea of Lightning, the other experts from the Xianlu Immortal Palace and the Purple Yen Divine Sect shouted at the same time. They each took action, condensing chains with divine power. They quickly wrapped around the elders of their sects who were about 10 feet away from the Sea of Lightning and pulled them back. Boom! The Sea of Lightning exploded, and lightning bolts raged. Like a heavenly tribulation, a destructive force rippled out like water. No! The elders of the Xianlu Immortal Palace and the Purple Yen Divine Sect who were about 10 feet away from the Sea of Lightning screamed and exploded. Not only were their physical bodies destroyed, but their divine souls were also shattered. Those were two experts at the middle stage of the immortal realm. They died just like that, and they couldn't even enter the Sea of Lightning? What kind of cultivation does one have to be to enter the Sea of Lightning? At this place, the expressions of all the cultivators changed greatly. The faces of the people from the Xianlu Immortal Palace and the Purple Yen Divine Sect were the most unsightly. They knew that the Sea of Lightning was very terrifying, so they had been vigilant. As long as the people from their sects were in danger, they would immediately pull them back. In fact, they had indeed done so. However, they did not expect that it would be useless. The power overflowing from the Sea of Lightning was so terrifying that it could make one's hair stand on end. In an instant, the two elders' bodies and souls were destroyed. There was no chance for them to pull them back. Like I said, those two had no hope at all. In a remote corner far away, Jiang Luoluo muttered. Beside her, Lin Tian had been observing the sea of lightning. At this time, the golden divine light in his eyes became more intense. Moreover, there were strands of lightning arcs flashing and intertwining in his eyes. It was as if a heavenly tribulation was brewing in his eyes. Luo, I'm going to the sea of lightning. Before I come out, find a place to hide, he said to Jiang Luoluo. What? Jiang Luoluo's eyes widened. She pulled his arm and said, Calm down. I know that you care a lot about that thunder art. It seems like you have a very special need. I also know that there may be some kind of peerless thunder art inheritance in there. But it's too dangerous. You saw what happened just now. The middle stage Immortal Realm cultivator did not even have the chance to get close before he was destroyed by the thunder chi emitted by the Sea of Lightning. He did not even have the time to escape. Although you are very strong and have the protection of the Eternal Weapon and the Hongmeng Divine Pagoda, I don't think you can withstand such a terrifying thunder chi, let alone enter the Sea of Lightning. After entering the Sea of Lightning, you will have to bear the direct bombardment of the lightning. Even a true Immortal Realm expert may not be able to withstand it. Lin Tian knew that Jiang Luoluo was worried about his safety. He said, It's okay. I know what I'm doing. As he stood there, he observed the Sea of Lightning seriously, and could clearly feel how terrifying it was. Then, gradually, as time passed and he observed the Sea of Lightning even more deeply, that Sea of Lightning is terrifying still remained, but the sense of danger grew weaker and weaker. It was so weak that it gave him an extremely strange feeling at this moment. It was as if he could step into the Sea of Lightning as if he was walking on flat ground without putting up any defenses. This feeling was a little absurd, but it was born just like that. Even his life origin and divine soul started to vibrate at this time. It was as if there was an indescribable will in the Sea of Lightning that was calling out to him. He spoke again, asking Jiang Luoluo to find a hidden place to hide. This was because if someone from the Fan clan rushed here and discovered Jiang Luoluo, and he was not by her side at that time, Jiang Luoluo would definitely die. Jiang Luoluo looked at Lin Tian. She knew that Lin Tian had made up his mind to enter the Sea of Lightning. Moreover, he seemed to be very confident, and did not seem to be fooling around. In the end, she nodded and said, Be careful. Safety is the most important thing. After she finished speaking, she scanned the surroundings. With Lin Tian's help, she suppressed all her aura and quickly moved to a very hidden place. This place was even more inconspicuous than the place she and Lin Tian were at. Normally, no one would pay attention to this place. Lin Tian looked at Jiang Luoluo and nodded to her. Then, he stepped forward. With one step, he was 100 feet away from the Sea of Lightning. Then, he walked on the ground and slowly stepped into the Sea of Lightning. This is the ruthless person who killed the head of the Fan family? He is also here. Is he also here for Zhongwudi's lightning technique? Is he going to enter the Sea of Lightning? Chapter 14:14. Seeing Lin Tian appear here, the expressions of all the cultivators outside the Lacey changed. It was because Lin Tian's reputation had been too great recently. He had even killed the head of the Fan family, causing many cultivators to be fearful. Even the middle-stage Immortal Realm elders of the Xian Luo Immortal Palace and the Purple Yen Divine Sect were distressed because they had just lost an Immortal Realm elder. However, when they looked at Lin Tian, their eyes narrowed. Obviously, they had heard that Lin Tian had killed the master of the Fan family in public. The patriarch of the Fan clan was in existence at the same level as the sect masters of the Xian Luo Immortal Palace and the Purple Yen Divine Sect. He could be said to be one of the overlords who looked down on the Purple Yen Divine Sect. Half-step Immortal Realm. They looked at Lin Tian and saw Lin Tian's cultivation. Then, they couldn't help but frown slightly. How could he injure and kill the master of the Fan family, who was at the peak of the Immortal Realm? It's strange. Even if he has a peak eternal weapon and a divine pagoda made of Hongmeng heavenly crystal, he shouldn't be able to contend with a peak Immortal Realm expert. They had strange expressions. Lin Tian could feel the gazes of the nearby cultivators on him, but he did not care. There was no special expression on his face as he walked towards the Sea of Lightning from 10 zhang away. His pace was not fast, but very slow. Although he had a strange feeling that the Sea of Lightning couldn't hurt him, he didn't dare to recklessly charge into the Sea of Lightning. He had to be more cautious, so he slowly approached the Sea of Lightning on foot from 100 feet away. When he stepped on the ground, he could clearly feel the terrifying fluctuations coming from the thunder sea in front of him. The aura was like a mountain of thunder, as if it could suppress everything. It was very frightening. However, the strange thing was that although he could feel the terror of the Sea of Lightning, as he got closer and closer, he did not feel the slightest sense of danger, nor did he feel any pressure. He walked from 10 feet away from the Sea of Lightning and gradually approached the 90 feet, then the 80 feet, the 70 feet, the 60 feet, the 50 feet, the 40 feet, the 30 feet, the 20 feet, the 10 feet. The entire process was as if he was truly walking on a flat road and did not encounter the slightest obstruction. In the blink of an eye, he arrived at the edge of the Sea of Lightning. 0 distance. This, the middle stage immortal realm experts of the Xian Luo Immortal Palace and the Purple Yen Divine Sect only managed to get close to the Thunder Sea with their powerful soul treasures. However, he hasn't reached the immortal realm, but now he just walked so close to the Thunder Sea. All the cultivators lost their composure. Even the elders of the Xian Luo Immortal Palace and the Purple Yen Divine Sect were no exception. In their field of vision, Lin Tian did not put up any defenses at all. He just casually walked to the edge of the Lightning Sea. This was just too shocking, making everyone feel like they were seeing an illusion. This guy? That Thunder Sea can't hurt him? In the distance, Jiang Luoluo also saw this scene. She couldn't help but open her mouth in disbelief. After that, she was visibly moved in the next moment, as she thought of another matter. Earlier, there were numerous strange ancient markings inscribed on a stone wall, and only Lin Tian was able to comprehend them while the others would suffer misfortune if they tried to comprehend them. Moreover, Lin Tian said that those ancient markings contained the energy of lightning that was like heavenly tribulation, and it might be related to the legendary peerless lightning technique in this divine garden. Now, there was such a terrifying thunder sea in this place. It was confirmed that there was the legendary invincible thunder technique in it. Experts at the middle stage of the immortal realm couldn't even get close to it. However, Lin Tian walked into it as if he was walking on flat ground. He wasn't stopped at all. This gave her a very strange feeling. That lightning technique couldn't have been created for him, right? She was surprised. In front of her, as Lin Tian approached, the thunder sea suddenly boiled, and the aura of thunder chi soared. This made the surrounding cultivators tremble. They couldn't help but retreat further away from the thunder sea. Even the elders at the middle stage of the immortal realm from the Xian Luo Immortal Palace and the divine Purple Yen Divine Sect were no exception. They were afraid of being affected. As for Lin Tian, he was still safe and sound in that position. What? That aura of thunder chi can destroy the body and soul of an expert at the middle stage of the immortal realm in an instant. But he's fine? How could it be? It shouldn't be. The crowd of cultivators was shocked. Previously, when the elders from the Xian Luo Immortal Palace and the divine Purple Yen Divine Sect were 3 meters away from the thunder chi, they were instantly destroyed by the aura of thunder chi. They couldn't even escape. Now, the aura of thunder chi was at least 5 times stronger than before. However, Lin Tian, who was only at the Emperor Kong realm, was not injured at all. Most importantly, Lin Tian didn't put up any defense during the whole process. This was simply bizarre to the extreme. Why do I feel that the thunder sea has suddenly become more terrifying and boiling? It's like it's welcoming him. A cultivator muttered to himself. Then, he was shocked by this thought because it was too strange. Rumble! In front of him, the thunder sea shook. 5 different kinds of thunder chi roared as if they were going to destroy the world. Lin Tian was at the edge of the thunder sea, so he could clearly feel that the thunder sea had become more terrifying. However, he didn't feel any pressure at all. He didn't feel any sense of danger at all. My feeling was right. As expected, the Thunder Sea can't hurt me, he muttered to himself. As a matter of fact, he was also very curious about this matter. After all, not even sempiternal realm middle stage experts were able to get close to this place, and their bodies and souls would be obliterated midway. Yet, he was completely unaffected by it. This was indeed strange. However, he didn't think too much about it. He only knew that this was not a bad thing for him. He stood at the edge of the Thunder Sea and took a deep breath. Then, he stepped into the Thunder Sea. He stepped in. He's fine? The Thunder Chi in the Thunder Sea didn't attack him? At this place, when the crowd of cultivators saw Lin Tian directly step into the Sea of Lightning, all of them trembled. After that, they gradually became shocked. This was because after Lin Tian entered the Sea of Lightning, the surging five-colored lightning that seemed capable of destroying everything actually did not attack him at all. Instead, some of the lightning began to revolve around Lin Tian like lightning dragons. What's going on? This is too strange. Chapter 14-15. All the cultivators were shocked as they stared in disbelief at Lin Tian, who had stepped into the Sea of Lightning. All of them were dumbfounded. Experts at the middle stage of the immortal realm would be shocked to death before they could even get close to the Thunder Sea. However, Lin Tianji was only in the Emperor realm, but he was able to get close to the Thunder Sea as if he was walking on flat ground. Moreover, he was safe and sound after entering the Thunder Sea. He was not attacked by the terrifying thunderbolts. This scene was so bizarre that it shocked everyone. Who the hell is this guy? In the distance, Jiang Luoluo's beautiful eyes widened. In the Thunder Sea, Lin Tian stood where he was. Thunderbolts intertwined around him. He could clearly feel how terrifying these thunderbolts were. They could easily crush immortal existences in the eternal realm. Even genuine immortals might not be able to withstand them. However, he, who was only in the Emperor realm, felt no pressure at all. He did not feel any sense of danger. He paused and glanced at Jiang Luoluo, who was far away from the Thunder Sea. Then, he stepped into the center of the Thunder Sea. He went deeper into the Thunder Sea. He's safe and sound. None of the thunderbolts hit him. Is it because the thunderbolts don't attack people who enter the Thunder Sea? As long as one enters the Thunder Sea, he will be safe and sound? This doesn't look like it. I don't think so either. Then why can he? Outside the Thunder Sea, the practitioners were all shocked. Even the powerful elders of the Xian Luo Immortal Palace and the Purple Amplified Divine Sect were shocked. This young man is very strange, an elder of the Xian Luo Immortal Palace said in a low voice. Lin Tian had already entered the Thunder Sea. He walked toward the center and found that although the thunderbolts were terrifying and dense, they did not destroy the ground here. The ground was very intact. He was somewhat surprised by this, but he did not care too much about it. He did not change his pace. While observing the dense thunderbolts around him, he walked toward the center of the Thunder Sea. The roar of thunder kept ringing in his ears. Silver, blue, purple, red, black. He observed the thunder and lightning in the Sea of Thunder. The dense thunder and lightning were divided into 5 different colors: silver, blue, purple, red, and black. The power of the thunder and lightning contained in each color increased exponentially. The silver lightning was the weakest, and the black lightning was the strongest. Even the weakest silver lightning bolt could easily destroy an indestructible existence in the eternal realm. Just how strong was the person who created this lightning technique back then? Conservatively speaking, he should have reached the true God realm, he muttered to himself. With this in mind, he observed the dense lightning and thunder around him. He paused for a moment and continued to walk into the depths of the Sea of Lightning. As he took a step forward, thunder rumbled all around him. It was as if there were true dragons swimming in this space, and as if they had their own consciousness, they actually automatically made way for him. Everywhere he passed, the wind was smooth. This made Lin Tian feel a bit strange, but he couldn't figure it out, so he didn't think too much about it. His footsteps didn't change, and he walked in the sea of lightning. Soon, he finally came to the center of the sea of lightning. Looking around, there was a brown stone platform in the center. It was neither big nor small, just enough for a person to sit cross-legged on. It was already covered with sand and dust, and he didn't know how long it had been in this position. When he came here, his eyes fell on the stone platform, and the spiritual soul in his sea of consciousness couldn't help but tremble slightly. On the stone platform, there was an extremely strong wall of thunder and lightning. If the inheritance of that lightning technique really exists in this sea of lightning, then this stone platform is the real place where the person created the technique. He muttered to himself. He looked at the stone platform and walked forward until he was right in front of it. Immediately, he felt an even more amazing power of thunder and lightning. This place seemed to have once had a thunder god sitting cross-legged. His eyes lit up, and he wiped off the dust on the stone platform. After a pause, he sat cross-legged on the stone platform. That lightning technique, I must get it! He sat cross-legged on the stone platform, and his powerful divine thought immediately spread out. With the stone platform as the center, it spread in all directions, and began to search for the inheritance of that lightning technique in this sea of lightning. Immediately, in just an instant, the sea of lightning boiled on its own. Bolts of thunder and lightning roared together, and as if they were attracted, they surged toward him. In just 3 breaths, the dense lightning gathered around him like real dragons, and slowly rotated around him. Lin Tian naturally felt this, and he opened his eyes immediately. He was moved. At this time, his divine thought was no longer moving, but the lightning circled around him on its own. He sat cross-legged on the stone platform and stared at the lightning. He could clearly feel the terrifying aura contained within them, and he felt an unparalleled will of the Great Path, which made his Great Path precepts involuntarily move on their own. Buzz! The light of the Great Path intertwined around his body, and it seemed to be resonating with the lightning around him. At the same time, in his sea of consciousness, his soul glowed on its own, intertwining with streaks of lightning arcs, and crackling. These streaks of lightning had the aura of the heavenly tribulation, and it was proof that he had survived 9 consecutive destructive heavenly tribulations. Boom! 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 All around him, the aura of the lightning surged, and it shook this world, causing countless living beings in this space to tremble. In the next moment, the surrounding bolts of lightning vibrated, and they rumbled toward Lin Tian, trying to drown him. This scene frightened Lin Tian so much that he felt a chill run down his spine. If this kind of lightning came crashing down, he reckoned that even a true immortal level expert would be instantly struck to death. He almost wanted to get up and flee. However, in the end, he calmed down quickly, because although he could feel the terror of these lightning bolts, he still did not feel the slightest bit of danger. Then, in just an instant, the densely surging thunderbolts directly shrouded him within. Among them, 5 bolts of lightning were the most dazzling. They were silver, blue, purple, red, and black respectively, and they were like 5 divine dragons of Tao. In the next moment, they rushed toward Lin Tian's sea of consciousness together with the dense lightning that was about to drown him. Lin Tian's body trembled, and in the next moment these bolts of lightning entered his sea of consciousness in an instant, and then circled around his soul, slowly revolving around it like thunder dragons. His soul was surrounded by these bolts of lightning, and the remaining power of lightning outside his soul after surviving 9 destructive heavenly tribulations became even stronger. It vibrated together with the bolts of lightning that rushed into his sea of consciousness, causing it to seethe even more. Boom! 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 5 consecutive thunderous roars rang out. The 5 bolts of lightning were silver, blue, purple, red, and black respectively. They moved along with the dense lightning around them, and in an instant, they turned into ancient runes that filled the sky. Each ancient rune was intertwined with infinite power of lightning. Lin Tian's body trembled slightly. These ancient runes were too similar to the ancient runes that he had comprehended on the stone wall before. They had the same power of lightning. It could be said that these ancient runes were the complete form of the ancient runes on the stone wall. Boom! The dense bolts of lightning turned into ancient runes that filled the sky. Among them, 5 ancient runes were the brightest. They were evolved from the 5 bolts of lightning that were silver, blue, purple, red, and black respectively. They seemed to be the core of the ancient runes that filled the sky. At this moment, they collectively roared again, resounding through Lin Tian's sea of consciousness, causing monstrous waves to rise in the sea of consciousness in an instant. Lin Tianji felt a sharp pain in his head. The 5 ancient runes that were evolved from the 5 bolts of lightning emitted an even brighter light, like 5 immortal thunder swords. An incomparably tyrannical will of lightning flooded his sea of consciousness, causing a vague and obscure idea to gradually emerge in his heart. 5 heaven-shaking thunders incantation. Boom! The 5 most brilliant ancient runes roared and became even more dazzling. An earth-shaking thunder will seem to flatten the heavens. In the next moment, the 5 ancient runes, together with the other ancient runes that were formed from lightning, rushed into his spirit. In an instant, his spirit trembled violently. The dense lightning runes poured into his spirit, causing his spirit to tremble violently. A heart-wrenching pain instantly spread through his body, causing even someone as strong as him to let out a muffled groan. At the same time, strange images appeared in his sea of consciousness. He saw a vast sea of lightning tribulation, and a hazy figure charging through it, covered in blood. In the end, he shattered the tribulation and bathed in rainbow auspicious clouds, becoming even stronger. After that, time passed, and the images changed. He saw the hazy figure going through the 2nd tribulation, the 3rd tribulation, the 4th tribulation, the 5th tribulation, the 6th tribulation, the 7th tribulation, the 8th tribulation, the 9th tribulation. This is? His body trembled violently, and shock filled his entire body. There were people like him who attracted the tribulation not only after reaching the immortal connecting realm, but were constantly bombarded by the tribulation. He was stunned by the images that suddenly appeared in his sea of consciousness. He stared blankly at the hazy figure going through the tribulation continuously. In the end, he saw the hazy figure go through a total of 18 tribulations. 18 tribulations! His heart trembled. 18 tribulations in a row. Had the person in the images reached the divine arch realm? In the images, lightning filled the sky. The hazy figure tore through the 18th tribulation, bathed in the light of rainbow auspicious clouds, stepped into a divine island, walked through many places, and walked into a mountain. With a wave of his hand, he opened up a small world and meditated inside. He didn't know how long he sat there. When the world turned into mulberry fields, the hazy figure opened his eyes again. In an instant, electric arcs intertwined around him, turning into a sea of lightning in an instant. An unparalleled thunder will was nurtured within. Through the blurry images, Lin Tian saw the hazy figure's eyes. There was endless vicissitudes and profoundness in them. At the same time, there was also an incomparably stubborn hatred. In an instant, it pierced through the misty world and suppressed everything in the world. Chapter 14:16. In the picture in the Sea of Consciousness, the pair of eyes were too big, many times bigger than the stars, as if they had existed since ancient times. Lin Tian's body shook immediately. This pair of huge eyes had appeared in his Sea of Consciousness twice, and he would never forget them. Now, they had appeared again. Chi! With a soft sound, as the pair of huge eyes appeared, the picture in his Sea of Consciousness was instantly shattered. What's going on? The picture that appeared in his Sea of Consciousness should be the picture that the will of thunder contained in this place had preserved. That thunder technique was created by that hazy figure, and the moment the technique was completed, that person rushed into an unknown space. And in that unknown space, there was a pair of huge eyes, exactly the same as the pair of huge eyes in the starry sky that had appeared in his Sea of Consciousness inexplicably. They were always filled with indifference and ruthlessness, which made him feel incredulous. When that pair of huge eyes appeared in his Sea of Consciousness before, he didn't know what they were, and he didn't even know if they actually existed. But now, after comprehending that thunder technique in this place, he knew that the pair of eyes actually existed. The peerless existence who created that thunder technique in this place rushed into that pair of huge eyes the moment the technique was completed. Moreover, that pair of huge eyes seemed to be terrifying. He didn't know what that pair of eyes were, and he didn't know why the person who created that thunder technique had rushed into that pair of huge eyes in the past. He also didn't know why he had seen that pair of huge eyes again and again. For a moment, his mind became a little confused, as if there was a mess in his mind. Boom! The roar of thunder resounded in his sea of consciousness, setting off waves of thunder and lightning, which made him come back to his senses slightly. At this moment, the 5 ancient runes formed by the 5 different colored thunderbolts, silver, blue, purple, red, and black, and other dense thunder runes vibrated in his divine soul, causing his sea of consciousness to become more turbulent, and the aura of thunder and lightning was frightening. They merged into his soul, and there was a wave of unparalleled lightning might that surged outwards. It was as if it could shake the heavens and shake the past and present. Lin Tian only felt a sharp pain in his soul. At this moment, he finally regained his senses. Then, the lightning runes in his soul slowly disintegrated and merged with his soul. The profound lightning runes circulated in his mind again and again. It was a vast and terrifying scene. The 5 heaven-shaking thunder spell consists of silver, blue, purple, red, and black. Each color represents the heavens. When all 5 colors are formed, it is known as the thunder spell mastery. He muttered to himself. The densely packed lightning ancient markings merged with his divine soul and were incomparably compatible with it. He didn't even bother to explore and comprehend these lightning markings. They were the complete lightning arts that had merged with his divine soul, allowing him to understand everything in the blink of an eye. The 5 heaven-shaking thunders incantation. This invincible thunder technique was deduced and created by that unparalleled expert in the past after going through 18 heavenly tribulations in a row. Because I kept going through heavenly tribulations after reaching the airborne realm, my spiritual soul gradually became entangled with strands of heavenly tribulation lightning. That's why I can perfectly fit this thunder technique. That's why I can enter this sea of lightning without being affected. At the same time, it's also because of this that I'm the only one who can comprehend the ancient markings on the stone wall that contain the power of the thunder spell. He muttered to himself. Rumble, 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 his divine soul trembled. The pain was still there, but it was even more intense. Those dense lightning runes were rapidly fusing with his divine soul. After that, even more lightning runes interweaved and poured into his heart. He took a deep breath and stopped thinking about it. At this time, he began to move. He sat cross-legged on the stone platform in the center of the sea of lightning and began to vibrate the divine power in his body according to the ancient lightning spells that appeared in his mind. His hands also moved at the same time. Then, in the blink of an eye, his physical body shook slightly. Then, streaks of lightning appeared on the surface of his body. These streaks of lightning were faint silver and contained a strange power. They were very similar to the great path of thunder, but the essence was completely different. They were 2 different kinds of power from the great path of thunder, and were far beyond the level of the great path of thunder. Boom! As he cultivated the 5 heaven-shaking thunders that appeared in his mind, a strong aura of thunder intertwined around him in the blink of an eye. The streaks of lightning on the surface of his body gradually increased. They were still faint silver and surrounded his entire body. Time flew by, and a month passed. A month later, the silver streaks of lightning on the surface of his body became denser, causing the sea of lightning to shake again and again, emitting thunderous roars. He was aware of this, but he didn't care. His hands moved rhythmically as he seriously comprehended the profound thunder spell that appeared in his mind and cultivated diligently. Outside the sea of lightning, there were many cultivators. Everyone was staring at the sea of lightning, including the immortal elders of the Xian Luo Immortal Palace and the Purple Evolved Divine Sect. Since Lin Tian entered the sea of lightning, they had been staring at the sea of lightning. A month! That person has been in there for a month. Why hasn't he come out yet? There's no movement at all? Could it be that he died in the depths of the sea of lightning? Someone whispered. The sea of lightning was intertwined with dense streaks of lightning. The naked eye and divine thought could only see the scene at the edge of the sea of lightning. They couldn't see the situation inside. Lin Tian had been in there for a month, and there was no movement. Many people couldn't help but think that Lin Tian might have met with an accident in the depths of the sea of lightning and died there. "It's okay. This guy must be okay," Jiang Luluo muttered to herself in the distance, clenching her fists. She believed that Lin Tian could walk out of the sea of lightning unscathed. Whoosh! 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 The sound of air breaking rang out. 3 figures flew in from the southeast, each of them exuding a strong and terrifying fluctuation of divine power. All of them were at the half-step eternal realm. They are the 3 supreme elders of the Fan family of the remote antiquity, the 3 most powerful people under the ancestor of the Fan family, all rushed here. Many cultivators recognized the 3 people and were all shocked. Even the elders of the Xian Luo Immortal Palace and the Purple Evolved Divine Sect were no exception. After all, the 3 supreme elders of the Fan family were in the half-step to the eternal realm, and their strength was much stronger than theirs. Jiang Luoluo was hiding in a secluded place far away. When she heard the voices of the cultivators and knew the identities of the 3 people who were rushing over, her expression changed. Just as Lin Tian had expected, the Fan clan had sent a Grand Elder to kill their way here. She hid in the distance while suppressing her aura with all her might, and she didn't move at all as she was deeply afraid of being noticed by the 3 supreme elders of the Fan clan. Because once she was noticed, she would surely suffer great misfortune, and it was even to the extent that they might capture her and use her to threaten Lin Tian. She believed that Lin Tian would be able to walk out of the sea of lightning in a while. She didn't want to cause trouble for Lin Tian again. In the sea of lightning, Lin Tian sat cross-legged on the stone platform in the center. He forgot about himself and forgot about everything else as he cultivated the 5 thunders shocking heaven extinction. The silver lightning on the surface of his body became denser, and the color gradually changed from light silver to thick silver. Buzz! Chapter 14-17. Silver electric arcs intertwined around his body. Lin Tian moved his hands to practice the 5 heaven-shaking thunder skill that appeared in his mind. For a moment, his essence, chi, spirit, and cultivation soared at an extremely fast speed. Boom! The powerful aura of thunder intertwined, and the essence of the 5 heaven-shaking thunder skill flowed in his mind. He closed his eyes slightly, and his hands moved rhythmically. His divine power vibrated in a regular manner, and the intertwining lightning on his body became denser. In the blink of an eye, another month had passed. On this day, the lightning outside his body became sharper and more overbearing. Its color was pure silver, and there was a thunderous aura intertwined around him like a heavenly tribulation. It was as if he was a god emperor who could control the heavenly tribulation. Moreover, his essence, chi, and spirit had become stronger. His cultivation had reached the peak of half-step immortal realm, and he was only a little away from the immortal realm. At this time, he opened his eyes, and there were strands of silver lightning intertwined in his eyes. After entering the Thunder Sea and obtaining the legendary Thunder Technique, he had been practicing here for 2 months. He had already cultivated this Thunder Technique to the extreme with his current cultivation. He also had a certain understanding of this Thunder Technique. It could definitely be called a top-notch offensive saint technique. Moreover, it had the power to control tens of thousands of thunderbolts. Even if it was a heavenly tribulation, it could interfere with it to a large extent. It was indeed very useful for him to cross the heavenly tribulation in the future. It's time to leave. After obtaining the thunder skill and cultivating it to the highest level, there was no need for him to stay here any longer. Moreover, Jiang Luoluo was still waiting for him outside. He stood up and walked down the stone platform. He glanced at the stone platform one last time, and then he walked back to the Thunder Sea. The Thunder Sea was vast, and the dense lightning bolts were rampant. Each of them was extremely terrifying. If he was struck by these lightning bolts at the same time, he was 100% sure that even a true immortal expert would not be able to withstand it. He would be struck to death in an instant. Originally, he did not feel any pressure as he walked in this sea of lightning, and was not affected by these lightning bolts. Now, because he had mastered the 5 lightning heaven shocking art, he felt even more relaxed as he walked in this sea of lightning. Not only did he not feel the slightest pressure, he even felt a comfortable feeling as if he was swimming in a hot spring. Soon, he had traveled a long distance along the path he had come from and gradually approached the edge of the sea of lightning. Boom! At this moment, there was an astonishing amount of divine power tumbling in front of them. 3 silhouettes approached the edge of the sea of lightning. Their auras were extremely powerful, and they were already very close to the sea of lightning. They stepped forward cautiously and entered the sea of lightning one after another. At this time, Lin Tian was only a few feet away from the edge of the sea of lightning. Looking at the 3 people, he stopped in his tracks. This was the first time he had seen these 3 people, but he instantly guessed where they came from. Someone from the Fan clan, he said. He sensed a very familiar aura from the 3 of them. It was very similar to the aura of the Fan family leader and Fan Jingye. Their bloodline fluctuations were exactly the same, so he immediately knew that they were from the Fan family of the ancients. At the edge of the Thunder Sea, the 3 figures were indeed from the Fan family. They were the 3 grand elders of the Fan family, and their cultivations were all at half-step to the eternal realm. At this time, they naturally heard Lin Tian's voice and noticed Lin Tian. "You're not dead?" The Fan family leader, his brother Fan Jingye, and several elders at the middle stage of the immortal realm had all died because of Lin Tian, which caused the Fan family to be furious. Naturally, they had already known about Lin Tian. One of their purposes in coming to this place was to kill Lin Tian, and the other was to obtain the legendary unparalleled thunder skill. They had arrived outside the Thunder Sea a month ago, and heard that many people in this place said that Lin Tian had entered the Sea of Lightning and might have died there. They stayed outside the Sea of Lightning for another month, and carefully observed the Sea of Lightning. After another month, Lin Tian still did not come out. Gradually, they began to believe that Lin Tian had indeed died in the Sea of Lightning. At the same time, after a month of observation, they had a certain understanding of the Sea of Lightning. They began to walk to the edge of the Sea of Lightning with their powerful cultivation of half-step to the eternal realm. Then, they stepped into the Sea of Lightning. Unexpectedly, as soon as they stepped into the Sea of Lightning, they saw Lin Tian, the man who had killed the Fan family leader. When they saw Lin Tian, they were shocked at first. Then, their expressions turned cold, and the killing intent in their eyes was not concealed at all. It was like a few cold swords that wanted to cut through everything in the world. At the same time, many practitioners gathered outside the Sea of Lightning. They had been watching the 3 upper elders of the Fan family break through the Sea of Lightning. At this time, they naturally noticed the strange behavior of the 3 upper elders of the Fan family. Then, they followed their gazes and saw Lin Tian. All of them were shocked, including the elders of the Xian Luo Immortal Palace and the Purple Yen Divine Sect. It's that man! He's still alive! He's not dead. He seems to be walking toward the Sea of Lightning. Is he preparing to leave the Sea of Lightning? Could it be that he has obtained the legendary invincible thunder skill in the Sea of Lightning? At this time, Lin Tian was only a few feet away from the edge of the Sea of Lightning. At this position, the practitioners outside the Sea of Lightning could barely see Lin Tian. Everyone was shocked. He's fine. He's still alive. Jian Luoluo was very happy outside the Sea of Lightning. Although she had always believed that Lin Tian would be fine and would be able to walk out of the Sea of Lightning unscathed, she could not help but worry when she heard the practitioners in this place say that Lin Tian had died in the Sea of Lightning. Now that she saw Lin Tian appear in front of her, unharmed, she immediately heaved a long sigh of relief. In the Sea of Lightning, Lin Tian looked at the 3 upper elders of the Fan family who had just stepped into the Sea of Lightning. His expression was very calm. "You want to kill me?" He looked at the 3 of them and asked. He could clearly feel their naked killing intent. In fact, he knew very well why the 3 of them had come to the Divine Garden. First, they were here for the 5 heaven-shaking thunder skill. Second, They were here to kill him. The three of them looked at Lin Tian and said, "Take your head." As they spoke, one of them directly attacked. He stood in place and did not take a step forward. Instead, he raised his hand and performed a very powerful divine power, which pressed down on Lin Tian. This divine power was very powerful and mysterious. Its killing power was very frightening. It was enough to kill anyone below the eternal realm. Lin Tian stood in place. He could feel the terror of this divine power, but he did not care at all. He performed the 5 heaven-shaking thunders skill slightly. Immediately, a wisp of lightning aura spread out, causing the sea of lightning to tremble slightly. The intertwining bolts of lightning crackled and instantly crushed the divine power that the Fan family man had performed. Moreover, a powerful thunderbolt force rippled out like water ripples. In the blink of an eye, it pressed down on the expert from the Fan clan who had attacked. It also enveloped the other 2 experts from the Fan clan beside him. In the next instant, it landed on the 3 of them. Chapter 14:18. Outside the Thunder Sea, the crowd of cultivators turned pale. What happened just now? These cultivators only saw a Grand Elder from the Fan clan unleash a divine ability to kill Lin Tian. Then, they saw the divine ability unleashed by the Grand Elder being crushed. Then, the 3 Grand Elders from the Fan clan were all sent flying out of the Lightning Sea. That Thunder Sea is actively protecting that person? The crowd of cultivators looked at Lin Tian. They did not know that it was Lin Tian who had used the 5 Heavenly Thunders technique to guide the Thunder Sea to send the 3 Grand Elders of the Fan family flying. At this moment, their faces were filled with shock. Even the elders of the Xian Luo Immortal Palace and the Purple Amplified Divine Sect were no exception. Lin Tian naturally noticed the shock in these cultivators' eyes, but he did not care at all. He walked out of the Thunder Sea leisurely. His gaze swept across the crowd and then fell on the 3 Grand Elders of the Fan family who were dozens of feet away. His expression was still calm and indifferent. "Won't your patriarch of the Fan family come to kill me personally?" He looked at the 3 of them and asked. The 3 Grand Elders of the Fan family were covered in blood. At this moment, they had painstakingly repaired their bodies. When they heard Lin Tian's words, their eyes turned cold. "You and Emperor Realmant are worthy of our patriarch coming out of seclusion to kill you personally? What a joke! You're not worthy!" one of them said coldly. It was the 3rd Grand Elder of the Fan family. Lin Tian looked at this person. Without saying anything, he casually pointed a finger. Suddenly, a silver lightning bolt rushed out of the Thunder Sea behind him. It was extremely fast and directly hit this person. With a puff, blood splattered. This person was instantly smashed into pieces. Even his spirit body disappeared. What? A lightning bolt rushed out of the Thunder Sea and killed the 3rd Grand Elder of the Fan family. That's a half-step to the Eternal Realm expert. In an instant Many people trembled. Was the lightning in the Thunder Sea so terrifying? A casual strike could kill a half-step to the Eternal Realm expert? At the same time, these cultivators thought of something else. The silver lightning that had rushed out from the sea of lightning seemed to have appeared when Lin Tian extended his hand towards the 3rd Grand Elder of the Fan clan. Then, the 3rd Grand Elder of the Fan clan was killed. He can control the lightning in this sea of lightning? Someone said with a trembling voice. Of the 3 Fan clan Grand Elders, only 2 were left. The 1st Grand Elder and the 2nd Grand Elder were trembling uncontrollably. Their 3rd Grand Elder, a half-step to Eternal Realm expert, had died just like that. You! The 2 of them looked at Lin Tian with anger, shock, and fear. Lin Tian was not only able to move through the Sea of Lightning without being affected, but he could also guide the lightning attacks in the Sea of Lightning. After entering the Thunder Sea, you have already obtained the legendary Thunder technique and can guide the attacks of the Thunder Sea? The number 1 Grand Elder of the Fan clan gritted his teeth. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone in this place was greatly shaken and their expressions changed. Did he really obtain the invincible Thunder technique? Everyone's gazes landed on Lin Tian at this moment. That legendary lightning technique, the supreme offensive saint technique derived from heavenly tribulation, had really been found by Lin Tian? Facing these people's gazes, Lin Tian's expression did not change in the slightest. He was still as calm and indifferent as ever. It's a pity, but it would be wonderful if the Eternal Realm Patriarch of the Fan clan were here as well. He looked at the first Grand Elder of this branch, and pointed his finger again. Suddenly, another silver lightning shot out from the sea of lightning behind him and landed on the Grand Elder in the blink of an eye. Ah! The Grand Elder screamed as his body and soul were destroyed in an instant. The first Grand Elder of the Fan clan, second only to the Patriarch of the Fan clan, he casually guided the lightning attacks in the sea of lightning twice in a row. This is right, absolutely right. He has found the legendary invincible thunder technique and has already cultivated it. That's why he can control the sea of lightning here. Everyone's hearts trembled. He obtained the thunder technique? This guy is really not ordinary. In the distance, Jiang Luoluo's eyes lit up. Of the 3 Grand Elders of the Fan clan, only the second Grand Elder was left. He could not stop trembling in place. The 3 experts of the half-step Eternal Realm had attacked together, but 2 of them had been killed in an instant. And the person who killed them was only in the Emperor Realm. Looking at Lin Tian, the Grand Elder could not help but retreat. Lin Tian's gaze fell on the Grand Elder, still calm. If your Eternal Realm Patriarch also comes here, I can kill you all together, saving me trouble in the future. He had cultivated and mastered the 5 Heavenly Thunders technique, and the lightning here was completely created by the 5 Heavenly Thunders technique. He could easily control them. Even if a true immortal came, he could destroy him with a lift of his hand. If the Eternal Realm Patriarch of the Fan clan came here, he could guide the lightning here to destroy him directly, saving him trouble in the future. This was because he was sure that the ancestor of this lineage would eventually jump out to make trouble for him. If he did not live in this place, he would not be a match for the ancestor of the Fan family, who was in the Eternal Realm, even if he had mastered the 5 heaven-shaking thunder skill. After all, the difference in cultivation between the 2 of them was too great. You should die too. He looked at the second Grand Elder of the Fan clan and raised his hand. Immediately, another bolt of lightning rushed out from the sea of lightning. One of the objectives of the 3 Grand Elders of the Fan clan was to kill him, so he naturally would not show mercy. The lightning was extremely fast, and as soon as it rushed out of the sea of lightning, it enveloped the second Grand Elder of the Fan clan. Then, with a shrill scream, he was directly struck to death. For a moment, the place fell into a dead silence. The 3 Grand Elders of the Fan clan, who were half a step to the Eternal Realm, were so easily annihilated by an Emperor Realm cultivator. Even the elders of the Xian Luo Immortal Palace and the Purple Amplified Divine Sect felt a chill down their spines. At this time, they looked at Lin Tian from afar, unable to say a word as their eyes twitched violently. Lin Tian could see the shock in the hearts of the cultivators here, but he did not care. He calmly took a step forward, and in the next moment, he appeared beside Jiang Luoluo, who was hiding in the distance. That's amazing! You can actually guide the terrifying lightning attack from the sea of lightning. Did you really find that thunder technique? She looked at Lin Tian, her beautiful eyes sparkling. Lin Tian smiled faintly at her, but did not comment. Let's go, he said to Jiang Luoluo. Chapter 14-19. Can we leave now? Seeing Lin Tian's expression and hearing Lin Tian's words, Jiang Luoluo's eyes lit up. She immediately understood many things. It seems that you really found the thunder skill. That's amazing. Not bad. Lin Tian smiled and said, Let's go. Since he had found the thunder skill that could help him survive the heavenly tribulation in the future, there was no need for him to stay here any longer. Immediately, he left with Jiang Luoluo and walked out of the space. Soon they were far away. This man, it can't be wrong. According to the situation just now, he must have found the peerless thunder skill. Counting the divine pagoda made of primordial heavenly crystal and the peak eternal weapon, this man is simply full of treasures. In this place, a group of cultivators looked at Lin Tian's back as he left. Many of them could not help but twitch their eyes. Speaking of which, the Fan family has suffered a great loss in this man's hands. Yes, Fan Jingye at the early stage of Immortal Realm, 4 elders at the middle stage of Immortal Realm, the patriarch of the Fan family at the peak of Immortal Realm, and 3 supreme elders at the half-step Eternal Realm. So many experts have died. This is the first time the Fan family has encountered such a thing since its inception. The Eternal Realm patriarch of this lineage will probably come out in person soon. Nonsense. After such a series of events, how can the patriarch of the Fan family sit still? He will definitely jump out and attack that man personally. That's an Eternal Realm expert. If he really jumps out, no matter how monstrous that man is, he won't be able to resist him. After all, that man is only at the Emperor Realm. He's too weak compared to an Eternal Realm expert. Of course he won't be able to resist him. He must have some special reasons to be able to kill the patriarch of the Fan family at the peak of Immortal Realm. Just now, he was able to kill the 3 supreme elders at the half-step Eternal Realm because he drew the power of the Thunder Sea. If he only relied on his own strength, he will never be a match for the patriarch of the Fan family and the 3 supreme elders, let alone the patriarch of the Fan family, who is in the Eternal Realm. If he really fights with them, he will definitely die. Well, that's not necessarily true. Maybe he has some special means to deal with Eternal Realm experts? After all, that person always gives people a mysterious and evil feeling. He can't be judged by common sense. That does make sense. Why do you care about that? I know now that that person is a walking treasure trove. Some cultivators murmured. Their eyes lit up as they stared at the direction where Lin Tian left. They wanted nothing more than to rush over and devour Lin Tian, erasing all the divine treasures on Lin Tian's body. The treasures on Lin Tian's body were simply too shocking. Anyone who obtained them would definitely be able to step into the ranks of supreme experts in the future. It wouldn't be a problem for them to dominate a domain. The elders of the Xianluo Immortal Palace and the Purple Yen God sect looked at the Sea of Lightning with a strange light in their eyes, then glanced in the direction Lin Tian left. Return to the clan and report everything about that person to the patriarch. An elder of the Xianluo Immortal Palace said to another elder of his sect. The 2 elders of the Purple Yen God sect looked at each other, then one of them said in a deep voice, "Return." He only spat out 2 words, but the other elder Ziyan beside him obviously knew the deeper meaning of these 2 words. Return to the Purple Yen God sect and report all the information he knew about Lin Tian to the higher-ups. Because Lin Tian was too extraordinary. Whether it was the divine pagoda made of primordial heavenly crystal, or the legendary peerless thunder technique in the divine garden, he was extremely attractive. They had to report all of this to their superiors so that their sect masters, venerated elders, and old ancestors would know about it. Then, these top-level figures would decide what kind of attitude they should use to deal with this matter. Lin Tian took Jiang Luoluo with him. Their speed was neither fast nor slow. At this time, they had already left the space where the Sea of Lightning was and walked out of the primitive mountain that contained the special space. Roar! Roar! As they walked out of the mountain, the deafening roar of beasts and birds resounded through the sky. The 2 walked on foot, away from the mountain. Not long after, they walked a long distance. "Can we leave this broken place?" Jiang Luoluo asked Lin Tian now. She really didn't want to stay in this divine garden. She had suffered a lot when she first fell in, so her impression of this so-called ancient immortal divine garden was extremely bad. "What's the rush? We have nothing to do outside. Why don't we walk around this divine garden? Maybe we can find something good," Lin Tian now said. They didn't have anything urgent that they had to deal with. This divine garden had been closed since the prehistoric era until now. After such a long time, there should be many precious treasures in this place. Shi Yan wanted to search around. Perhaps he could find something good that could help him enter the immortal realm directly. Jiang Luoluo curled her lips. Although she really didn't want to stay in this divine garden, since Lin Tian wanted to stay for a while, she naturally wouldn't object. Moreover, Lin Tian was right. There was nothing for them to do outside right now, so searching for treasures and fortuitous encounters in the Divine Garden wasn't a bad idea. Boom! At this moment, a region far to the northwest of the Divine Garden suddenly shook violently. An astonishing medicinal fragrance accompanied by dense spiritual qi rushed out. This? Jiang Luoluo's expression changed. What a rich medicinal fragrance! What a rich spiritual energy! I can actually sense it from so far away. Could it be that some super holy medicine has been born there? Not only her, but even Lin Tian, who was half-step into the immortal realm, couldn't help but be shocked by the medicinal fragrance and spiritual energy. I just said to look for treasures. I didn't expect them to jump out like this. He narrowed his eyes and muttered to himself. Come, let's go, he said to Jiang Luoluo. Golden divine light wrapped around Jiang Luoluo, and he turned into a golden bolt of lightning, rushing toward the northwest of the Divine Garden. Based on the astonishing spiritual energy and rich medicinal fragrance rushing out from that location, he was 100% sure that there was an incredible treasure there. If he could get it, he might be able to reach the immortal realm in the blink of an eye. His speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he had crossed over dozens of mountains and arrived at a plain. As far as the eye could see, the plain in front of him was very large. At the center of the plain, smoke and dust billowed. The surface of the ground there had shattered, revealing a huge and vast underground world. The astonishing medicinal fragrance and rich spiritual energy from before had come from that location. It was obvious that they had rushed out from the underground world. There's actually such an underground world here. The medicinal fragrance and spiritual energy just now seem to have rushed out from the underground world. There must be some rare treasures in there. Come, let's go down. At this moment, many cultivators had come to this place. It was obvious that they had been in the vicinity since the beginning and had rushed here from nearby. Many of them looked at the underground world with shining eyes and then rushed down. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of cultivators had stepped into the underground world. Moreover, even more cultivators were rushing here from afar. They were all attracted by the astonishing medicinal fragrance and rich spiritual energy from before. Let's go down too, Lin Tian said to Jiang Luoluo. With a flash of golden light, he brought Jiang Luoluo through the crack in the center of the plain and shot into the underground world. In the blink of an eye, they landed on the surface of the underground world. As far as the eye could see, this underground world was unimaginably vast. There were many mountains and rivers, and there was a lot of vegetation. It was no different from a real small world. Strange. Previously, I could still feel the astonishing medicinal fragrance and spiritual energy on the surface. But after entering the underground world, why did the medicinal fragrance and spiritual energy become fainter? Jiang Luoluo muttered. There should be a very amazing sacred medicine here. So, you can roughly think of the current situation like this. The amazing sacred medicine here has been continuously emitting medicinal fragrance and spiritual energy. The medicinal fragrance and spiritual energy are floating in the air. Previously, because the surface of the ground was broken open, the circulation of the airflow caused most of it to rush to the surface. So, when we enter the underground now, the medicinal fragrance and spiritual energy in the air are naturally weaker than outside. Lin Tian now. He looked at this subterranean world, and faint light of dragon patterns intertwined in his eyes. Dragon patterns also spread out from the soles of his feet. He briefly explored this subterranean world, and then led Jiang Luoluo into the depths of this space. Zien planet, where the Fan family was located. What? An angry roar came from the depths of the Fan family. Murderous intent filled the sky. Fan Jingye of the Fan family, who was at the early stage of the immortal realm, had been killed. 4 elders at the middle stage of the immortal realm had died. The patriarch of the Fan family, who was at the peak of the immortal realm, had been killed. 3 supreme elders at the half-step eternal realm had also fallen. This made the other elders of the Fan family tremble. The eternal realm ancestor of the Fan family roared, his terrifying eternal realm divine power seeming to destroy everything. Bastard! On this day, a rainbow light rushed out from the depths of the Fan family. The old ancestor of the Fan family had personally moved, rushing towards the ancient immortal divine garden. In the underground world in the northwest of the ancient immortal divine garden, Lin Tian now led Jiang Luoluo through this underground world. He used the dragon burial scripture to explore the general trend of the earth veins and the topography of this space. At this time, they entered a chain of mountains. Are you sure there are good treasures in this area? Jiang Luoluo asked. Yes. Lin Tian now. As the master of the dragon burial scripture, he was very good at understanding the direction of the earth veins. Naturally, he was very clear about where treasures and divine objects were most likely to appear. The mountains in this chain of mountains were not tall, but they were very dense. There was very little vegetation on them. Some of the mountains were pitch black, while others were reddish-brown. Many places were shrouded in a faint mist. He and Jiang Luoluo walked through this chain of mountains. Soon, they went further and further. Gradually, many withered bones appeared on the ground. Among them, there were the skulls of demonic apes, the tail bones of saber-toothed tigers, and the wing bones of lightning birds. All of them belonged to demonic beasts. At the same time, when they arrived here, they felt a somewhat familiar wave of demonic qi in the air. It was mixed with a faint wisp of genuine immortal qi. For a moment, they could not help but be shocked. This seems to be the aura of the purple-scaled python in the mine. Wasn't it in seclusion to break through to the genuine immortal realm? Why is there its aura here? Is it too tired from seclusion, so it came here to relax? Chapter 1420. Jiang Luoluo shrunk her neck, and Lin Tian's expression changed. This place actually had the aura of the purple-scaled python that was trying to break through to the true immortal realm. He was really surprised. That ancient demonic beast had come to this place? It should have stayed in the mine to break through to the true immortal realm. It shouldn't have come here. Or did it successfully break through to the true immortal realm and come here after it came out? He guessed in his heart, but he immediately shook his head because this possibility was not high. According to what he saw at that time, that ancient demonic beast definitely couldn't break through to the true immortal realm so quickly. Boom! Suddenly, in the distance of this chain of mountains, a terrifying demonic aura appeared. A purple-scaled python appeared in the sky. Its demonic eyes were deep, and the demonic aura around its body was as hot and terrifying as the ancient demonic flames. It seemed to be using some kind of great magic. It's really that ancient demonic beast. Jiang Luoluo widened her eyes. Lin Tian was also shocked. That ancient demonic beast that was trying to break through to the true immortal realm had really come here. It seems to be breaking some kind of restriction. Let's retreat. Retreat immediately. Jiang Luoluo swallowed her saliva and whispered to Lin Tian now. 2 months ago, Lin Tian had lured the clan leader of the Fan clan and the others to the place where the violet python was in seclusion. They had borrowed the python's peerless demonic might to evade the threat posed by the clan leader of the Fan clan and the others, killing all of them instead. However, they had also disturbed the python's seclusion. If the python discovered them now, they would definitely die here. Lin Tian nodded. At this time, he didn't say anything more. They had to retreat. In front of them, a strong demonic aura was rolling. The purple-scaled python's body was mixed with faint true immortal qi. It was trying hard to break through something. Almost at the same time, it glanced out of the corner of its eye and saw Lin Tian and Jiang Luoluo. Humans, it's you! The purple-scaled python let out a roar. Its pair of demonic eyes were exceptionally cold. It swung its tail like a real dragon swinging its tail. A beam of demonic light rushed out like a sharp blade, straight towards Lin Tian and the other man at an extremely fast speed. More than 2 months ago, when it was in seclusion in its own mind to break through to the true immortal realm, Lin Tian led a group of people into its mine and disturbed it. Naturally, it recognized Lin Tian. At this time, it was in this underground world. When it noticed Lin Tian and Jiang Luoluo from afar, it immediately shook and emitted a demonic light, crushing toward Lin Tian and Jiang Luoluo. This was the demonic light of a half-step to true immortal, and there was even a hint of killing intent mixed within it. It was so terrifying that even an ordinary eternal realm being might not be able to withstand it. Lin Tian's expression changed immediately. He could easily feel the horror of this demonic light, which made his internal organs turn cold. Even so, it did not make him unable to move. At this time, he quickly displayed the 9th level of the yin and yang steps. At the same time, he also ran the 5 thunder sky-shocking skill, causing dense thunderbolts to intertwine on the surface of his body. With the help of the yin and yang steps, he directly pulled Jiang Luoluo to the right side. Whoosh! In just a moment, the great void was distorted. At this moment, his speed reached an extremely amazing level. With the help of the yin and yang steps, his pure speed was almost comparable to that of an expert at a half-step to eternal realm. It was as if he had teleported more than 300 meters away, as if he had just teleported. He narrowly avoided the demonic light thrown by the purple-scaled python. Then, the demonic light thrown by the purple-scaled python fell on the place where he and Jiang Luoluo had been standing, directly annihilating the surface of that place. The space within a radius of hundreds of meters turned into a chaotic zone in the blink of an eye. In the distance, the purple-scaled python showed a strange expression. It was about to reach the true immortal realm. Although the demonic light that it sent out just now was casual, it was definitely terrifying and fast. However, it was dodged by an Emperor Realm cultivator, which made it feel a little surprised. Then, in the next moment, it noticed the thunder arcs on the surface of Lin Tian's body. Immediately, its demonic body shook. This is? Its demonic eyes showed a look of disbelief, staring at Lin Tian in the distance. Lin Tian took Jiang Luoluo to avoid the attack of the purple-scaled python. At this time, he did not dare to have the slightest hesitation, and directly moved again. With the help of the 5 thunder sky-shocking skill and the yin and yang steps, he rushed to the distance. The speed of thunder and lightning was very fast, and with the help of the thunder technique and the yin and yang steps, he could naturally increase his speed. At this time, he used the 5 thunder sky-shocking skill and the yin and yang steps to increase his speed to the extreme, to escape from here. Human, wait! The purple-scaled python's voice sounded. At this time, its real body moved at an extremely fast speed. In an instant, it blocked in front of Lin Tian. The majestic demon aura around its body completely sealed the surrounding space. It's over, it's over, it's over! This time, it's really over. I said that we should leave this demonic garden island as soon as possible. Jiang Luoluo wanted to cry but had no tears. Lin Tian felt a chill down his spine. At this time, he regretted that he did not leave directly after obtaining the 5 thunder sky-shocking skill. He did not expect to meet the purple-scaled python in the previous mine here. This was an ancient demonic beast at the half-step true immortal realm. It was terrifying. Now that they were trapped by it, how could they resist it? Human, you obtained the god's inheritance in this divine garden? The purple-scaled python's voice sounded again, and it stared straight at Lin Tian. At this time, there was no coldness in its eyes, and there was no coldness in its voice. Instead, there was a trace of surprise and excitement. Lin Tian naturally noticed the change in the purple-scaled python. At this moment, the great evil beast did not have any hostility toward him at all. Its eyes were full of surprise and excitement, as if it was expecting something. He paused and said, I don't know what the god's inheritance is, but not long ago, in a special space in this divine garden, I obtained a powerful thunder technique. That's right. According to legend, the god's inheritance is a peerless thunder technique. You really obtained it. These intertwining lightning arcs around your body, this kind of aura is exactly the same as the invisible divine thunder aura that is suppressing us and preventing us from leaving this divine garden. The purple-scaled python was excited. It was obviously about to reach the true immortal realm. It was an ancient living fossil that had lived for countless years, but at this time, It was so excited that its body was trembling. Lin Tian was moved. He looked at the purple-scaled python and said, "There is an invisible divine thunder aura that is suppressing all the demonic beasts born in this divine garden, preventing you from leaving this divine garden?" he asked. Then, he remembered what Jiang Luoluo said before. When she first fell into this divine garden to escape, the demonic beasts in this divine garden were unable to leave due to some special reason. They were unable to enter the divine garden to chase after her. So it turned out that there was an invisible divine thunder aura that was suppressing them? Chapter 14:21. From its birth to its current cultivation level of half-step true immortal, the purple-scaled python had spent an unknown number of years in this divine garden. Even though it knew that the outside world was very vast, and even though it was strong enough, it was still unable to leave. It could only move about in this divine garden. It could be said to be a form of torture. Now, Lin Tian had appeared here and obtained the divine inheritance of this divine garden. He possessed the same aura as the divine lightning aura that prevented it from leaving this divine garden. It believed that if Lin Tian was willing to help it, he would definitely be able to take it out of this divine garden that was like a cage to it. At this moment, its eyes were filled with anticipation. "Please, human!" it said again. At the same time, the demonic aura outside its body calmed down, causing the confined space around it to return to its original state. Lin Tian looked at this violet-scaled python that was half-step true immortal. He could clearly sense that the python's emotions were fluctuating violently. At this moment, it was as if he was the only life-saving straw that it could grab onto when it was about to drown. He paused for a moment and said, "Let me sense it." He stood where he was and operated the 5 heaven-shaking thunder spell. Together with his powerful divine sense, he scanned the sky of this divine garden. At the same time, he also enveloped the violet-scaled python in front of him. In next to no time, a few tens of breaths had passed, and his expression changed slightly. He had indeed sensed the aura of lightning that was similar to the 5 heaven-shaker lightning technique coiled around the divine garden, and all living beings born within the divine garden would be suppressed and unable to leave. At the same time, he also sensed that with the help of the 5 heaven-shaking thunder spell that he controlled, he could indeed help all living creatures born in this divine garden to leave this place safely. "How is it?" Jiang Luoluo asked him. "It's right. There is indeed a divine lightning aura in this divine garden that prevents all living creatures born in this divine garden from leaving. With the lightning technique that I obtained in that space, I can indeed help it leave." Lin Tian now. Jiang Luoluo was shocked. "Really?" The purple-scaled python's body trembled slightly. After knowing that Lin Tian had obtained the inheritance of the thunder technique, although it had absolute confidence that Lin Tian could rely on the thunder technique to bring it out of this space, when it heard Lin Tian's words, it couldn't help but become even more excited. It stared at Lin Tian and said, "Human, please, you must help me." Ever since it was born, it had cultivated to the half-step true immortal realm. It had stayed in this divine garden for far too long. Now that it had a chance to leave, that there was someone who could bring it out, its eyes were filled with pleading. Lin Tian paused and said, "No problem, I can help you. But in exchange, you have to do 2 things for me." He didn't pause and directly said, "These 2 things are not difficult for you. First, accompany me to a valley in this world to retrieve an item. Second, help me find the coordinates of an ancient star in the starry sky." There was a fragment of Sword Soul in the celestial devouring valley of the Xian star. It was very dangerous for ordinary Eternal Realm experts to enter. Even though he was a reincarnated body, he had to at least reach the peak of the immortal realm to have the confidence to enter the depths of the celestial devouring valley and retrieve the fragment of Sword Soul. Now, there was a half-step true immortal in front of him. He believed that with his ability, he should be able to quickly enter the depths of the celestial devouring valley and retrieve the fragment of Sword Soul. As for helping him find the coordinates of an ancient star in the starry sky, it was naturally to find the location of the 10 Directions Heaven territory. He really wanted to go back to the 10 Directions Heaven territory. There were too many important people in that ancient star that he cared about. Just these two things? The purple-scaled python asked. For an existence at its level, the two things that Lin Tian mentioned were not difficult. Yes, just these two things. Lin Tian now. In fact, among these two things, he initially thought that he should not let the python accompany him to the celestial devouring valley to retrieve the fragment of Sword Soul because it was too extraordinary. Although he wanted to get the fragment of Sword Soul as soon as possible, he was also worried that the purple-scaled python would be disloyal after seeing the fragment of Sword Soul and try to snatch it. However, after thinking about it seriously, he rejected this idea in the end. Because when this great ominous beast knew that he controlled the inheritance of the sect god and could take him away, it could completely threaten him with death. After all, it was at the half-step true immortal realm, and it definitely had the ability to force him to submit. However, the python did not do that. Instead, it humbled itself and asked for help. It was enough to show that the python was not a sinister person and would not do such a despicable thing. Okay, no problem. I swear on my dignity that as long as we can get out of here, I will help you with these two things, the purple-scaled python said solemnly. Compared to Lin Tian taking it away from the divine garden and asking it to do these two simple things for Lin Tian, it was really too simple. Good. Then it's a deal. Lin Tian now. In fact, it was very simple for him to help the purple-scaled python leave the divine garden. The purple-scaled python was a little excited, but it calmed down after a while. Demonic light intertwined and turned into the appearance of a middle-aged man. I found a piece of supreme immortal jade in this underground world. It is very useful for me to break through to the true immortal realm. I want to find it first and then leave. Is that okay? Its cultivation was very strong and could look down on the Xian planet. However, it did not put on any airs in front of Lin Tiandao and spoke frankly. Supreme Immortal Jade? Lin Tiandao was a little surprised. He naturally knew about this kind of precious jade. It was said that it was formed by the aura of the immortal Tao drifting between heaven and earth. It was a supreme treasure for those who were breaking through to the true immortal realm. Not only could it help those who were breaking through to the true immortal realm to enter the true immortal realm very quickly, but it could also help those who were breaking through to the true immortal realm to condense true immortal chi. Its value was amazing. At the same time, he finally understood why this purple-scaled python, who was originally in the mine, suddenly came to this underground world when it was trying to break through to the true immortal stage. It turned out that it had sensed that there was a supreme immortal jade in this place. Then, he remembered that he had led the Fan family master and others into the purple-scaled python's secluded meditation place 2 months ago. He said, "Oh, by the way, I was chased by someone and broke into your secluded meditation place. I should have caused you a lot of trouble. I am sorry." 2 months ago, the purple-scaled python was trying to break through to the genuine immortal realm. In order to escape from the clutches of the Fan family's patriarch and the others, he had lured them into the cave and disturbed the purple-scaled python's closed-door cultivation. The purple-scaled python waved its hand. "It doesn't matter. Although it did cause me some trouble at that time, it is not a big deal. I have been trying to break through to the true immortal realm for a long time, but it has always been difficult to succeed. Even if the incident 2 months ago hadn't happened, I still wouldn't have been able to enter the true immortal realms so easily. I still need more accumulation. Moreover, just now I attacked you and the little girl beside you. Since you are both unharmed, let's call it even." It was really afraid that it had killed Lin Tian and Jiang Luoluo, especially Lin Tian. If it had killed Lin Tian, it would have regretted it for the rest of its life. It wouldn't even have a place to cry. Because now Lin Tian was its only hope to leave this divine garden. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he was its star of light. "Okay." Lin Tian nodded with a smile. Then he said, "Senior, let's wait for you to get the Supreme Celestial Jade before we leave. At the same time, I happen to be looking for a worldly treasure in this place." He could see that the purple-scaled python had been cultivating for at least 100,000 years. Therefore, it was reasonable for him to call it senior. Moreover, he'd already searched this place repeatedly with the dragon burial scripture, and he was 100% sure that an extraordinary treasure of the heavens and the earth was definitely growing in this area. If he obtained it, then it would definitely be able to assist him in attaining the eternal realm. Treasures of heaven and earth? The purple-scaled python showed a strange expression. Is there a faint medicinal fragrance? Is there a special spiritual energy mixed with this medicinal fragrance? Lin Tian was surprised. Senior, you know about it? Jian Luoluo was also surprised. What the purple-scaled python mentioned was very similar to what they were looking for. The purple-scaled python said with a smile, "In a corner of the place where I found the supreme celestial jade, there was a strange plant with 5 colored leaves and 5 colored flowers. It had a faint medicinal fragrance and a special spiritual energy. It was quite extraordinary. However, it was useless to me, so I didn't pay attention to it. But now, it seems that the worldly treasure you are looking for is this plant." Immediately, it brought Lin Tian and Jian Luoluo away with its demonic light. With a flash, they arrived at a dark canyon. As far as the eye could see, there were many corpses in the canyon. The soil was inky black, and the air was slightly cold. There. The python opened its mouth and pointed at an inconspicuous corner of the canyon. Lin Tian looked in the direction that the purple-scaled ominous light was pointing at, and saw a 3-inch tall treasure flower. Just like what the purple-scaled ominous python said, the leaves were 5 colors, and the flowers were 5 colors as well. As a whole, it looked like a phoenix that was about to soar into the immortal area. 5-colored phoenix plant. Lin Tian's eyes glinted as he recognized this precious flower. He had once read the description of this exotic flower in an ancient book. If one refined it, it would allow a half-step immortal realm expert to directly step into the immortal realm. So beautiful, Jian Luoluo said. Her knowledge wasn't as broad as Lin Tian's. She didn't know what the flower in front of her was. She could only feel that it was very beautiful. The purple-scaled python looked at Lin Tian and said to Lin Tian, "Little friend, you go and get it. This thing is useless to me. After you get it, I will use the technique to take out the supreme celestial jade from the bottom of this canyon. It will take about 3 days." Lin Tian nodded. He did not hesitate or act pretentiously because this treasure flower was indeed useless to the purple-scaled python. He took a step, flashed, and arrived in front of the 5-colored phoenix plant. He used a special technique to pick the precious flower, and carefully put it into his stone ring. After that, he returned. "Thank you, senior," he said to the purple-scaled python. The purple-scaled python waved its hand. "There is no need to thank me. Little friend, you are too polite." Then it said, "Little friend, please step back. I will take the supreme celestial, buzz!" Suddenly, the canyon trembled, interrupting the purple-scaled vicious python's words. A streak of silver light emerged from the ground and rushed into the distance at an extremely fast speed. "Not good! The supreme celestial jade is intelligent. It wants to escape from here by following the earth vein." Chapter 1422. The silver precious light was dazzling as it emerged from the ground. Like a spirit, it rushed out of the canyon at an extremely fast speed. "Is this the supreme celestial jade?" Lin Tian was shocked. The supreme celestial jade moved, and he could see with his naked eyes that it was intertwined with dense genuine celestial energy. He suddenly felt that the 5-colored phoenix plant's birth here should be related to this piece of supreme immortal jade. It should have been nurtured by true immortal energy. Boom! Demonic light shone brightly as the purple-scaled python attacked quickly. The half-step genuine celestial demonic light surged and enveloped a radius of several hundred feet. It prevented the supreme celestial jade from escaping and tried to grab it from the ground. However, the result wasn't ideal. The silver light outside the supreme celestial jade was very dense, and many earth veins in this place moved because of it. A mysterious domain was formed, and the powerful demonic light released by the purple-scaled python was isolated for a short time. It couldn't effectively grab the supreme celestial jade from the ground. A half-step genuine celestial powerhouse can't catch it. Jiang Luoluo was surprised. It was born here, and it came from my will. It can escape by using the power of the world veins here. It's difficult to trap it with pure power, and if you tried to catch it with pure brute force, you'll damage it directly, which will greatly affect its divine power, Lin Tian said. As he spoke, he took a step forward, and dense dragon patterns appeared under his feet. It was as if many genuine dragons were flying out, and they spread in all directions and branded themselves in every corner of the canyon. The supreme celestial jade suddenly trembled and became chaotic, and its speed dropped by several hundred times. "Senior, do it! Catch it in one fell swoop," he said to the purple-scaled python. The purple-scaled python's strength was extraordinary, and it could see that the supreme celestial jade was obstructed. It didn't hesitate, and its half-step genuine celestial demonic power surged and transformed into a great demonic claw. It interweaved with demonic patterns and grabbed the supreme celestial jade from the ground. I got it! The purple-scaled python was slightly excited. A piece of supreme celestial jade was more valuable than an ordinary supreme celestial jade, and if it was refined later, it could enter the genuine celestial realm more smoothly and quickly. It used demonic patterns to seal the supreme celestial jade and put it away. It looked at Lin Tiandao and thanked him. "Thank you, young friend!" Just now, if it hadn't been for Lin Tian's help, it wouldn't have been able to grab the supreme immortal jade in one piece. At this moment, its face was filled with gratitude. At the same time, its eyes were filled with unconcealable shock. It's hard to imagine. Even I, a half-step true immortal, find it difficult to stop the movement of the supreme immortal jade, but you, a half-step immortal cultivator, forcefully interrupted it. Moreover, you didn't damage it in the slightest. You're truly worthy of being the person who obtained the inheritance of the gods in this divine garden. It looked at Lin Tian and was truly a little shocked. I just happened to cultivate a technique related to the grand momentum of heaven and earth. I can cut off the supreme immortal jade and use the earth veins here to escape. Lin Tian now. The supreme immortal jade was psychic, and it could use the earth veins here to escape. Without cutting off the connection between the jade and the earth veins here, if it forcefully grabbed it with brute force, it might damage the jade. Therefore, although the purple-scaled python's cultivation was astonishing and its strength was astonishing, it was somewhat restrained because it was obviously not good at manipulating the earth veins' grand momentum. However, it was different. It had mastered the dragon burial scripture, so it could forcefully interfere with the earth veins' grand momentum here, so that the psychic supreme immortal jade couldn't borrow its strength and cut off its connection with the earth veins' grand momentum, preventing it from borrowing the power of the earth veins here. After that, with the purple-scaled python's great strength, it naturally grabbed the supreme immortal jade in an instant. "It's really amazing," the purple-scaled python said seriously. Then, it once again expressed its gratitude to Lin Tian. It was ready to use brute force to grab the supreme immortal jade, but it didn't expect that Lin Tian would directly cut off the connection between the supreme immortal jade and the earth veins here, allowing it to obtain an intact supreme immortal jade. Moreover, it was a psychic supreme immortal jade, so it was really grateful. Lin Tian waved his hand, saying that it was not necessary. "The matter here is over, right? Now, can we leave this stupid divine garden?" Jiang Luoluo said. She wholeheartedly didn't want to stay in this divine garden. Lin Tian nodded. It was enough to get the 5-colored phoenix plant. After refining it, he could break through to the immortal realm. At this time, he could leave, and there was no need to look for any immortal fate here. At this time, leaving the divine garden and leaving with the purple-scaled python could let it accompany him to the immortal devouring valley to get the sword's soul fragment there, and then help him find the star's coordinates in the 10 directions heavenly domain. He really wanted to go back to the 10 directions heavenly domain now. Thinking of this, he tilted his head and looked at the purple-scaled python. "I have no more questions. I can leave at any time." The purple-scaled python's eyes lit up. It had obtained the supreme immortal jade, and now Jiang Luoluo said that they would leave the divine garden. In fact, it was looking forward to it because it had been trapped in this divine garden for a long time and had never been to the outside world. It was full of yearning and anticipation for the outside world. Okay, let's go. Lin Tian. Immediately, they left the underground space, rushed to the surface, and flew toward the edge of the divine garden. In the blink of an eye, they were very far away from the location of the underground world. It's that person! The person who killed the Fan family's patriarch swaggered out of the divine garden? The Eternal Realm patriarch of the Fan family has come to the divine garden and is looking for him everywhere. Doesn't he know? There were many cultivators in the divine garden. At this time, many of them saw Lin Tian and were shocked. It's said that the Eternal Realm patriarchs of the Xian Luo Immortal Palace and the Purple Amplified Divine Sect have also come to this divine garden. The strongest experts of these two inheritances are also here? What are they going to do? What are they going to do? Isn't it obvious? Obviously, they are also here for that person. After all, that person has obtained the legendary Thunder Technique and the Divine Pagoda made of primordial heavenly crystal. They are all amazing treasures. Many cultivators discussed. Their voices were very low and they were far from Lin Tian, but Lin Tian still heard them. The Fan family patriarch is not a big deal, but the patriarchs of the Xian Luo Immortal Palace and the Purple Amplified Divine Sect have also jumped out to look for me. A faint light intertwined in his eyes. Beside him, the purple-scaled python was surprised. It looked at Lin Tian now and asked, "Little friend, you've obtained the legendary primordial heavenly crystal?" It naturally knew that the primordial heavenly crystal was a sacred object that was difficult to find in the world. It did not expect Lin Tian to have found a piece and used it to forge a divine pagoda. This was a little shocking. The divine pagoda's value was immeasurable. "I was lucky to have obtained one," Lin Tian said with a smile. Many cultivators knew that he had a divine pagoda made of primordial heavenly crystal, so there was no need to hide it. Boom! At this moment, a powerful wave of divine power surged. An elder appeared in the distance. Terrifying waves of divine power interweaved around his body. As he moved, he caused the void to shatter inch by inch. He was like a furious dragon in human form, flying toward them at high speed. The Fan family patriarch. Chapter 1423. The Fan family's ancestors' divine power tumbled around his body. The cold air was oppressive as he rushed over from afar. In the blink of an eye, the Fan family's ancestor rushed forward and his gaze fell on Lin Tian. An icy chill immediately suppressed everything. For a moment, everyone present couldn't help but tremble. This was because the old ancestor of the Fan family was an Eternal Realm expert, an immortal existence. To ordinary cultivators, an existence of this level was no different from a deity. The old ancestor of the Fan family was dressed in purple robes. It was unknown how long he had lived for. His eyes were incomparably deep, but the blood chi rippling from him was extremely shocking. It was like a furnace, but also like an abyss, causing one to feel fear just by looking at him. "Beast!" Looking at Lin Tian, his voice was cold as he approached step by step. The killing intent outside his body was not concealed at all. It was incomparably terrifying. Lin Tian stood in the void, facing the Fan family's ancestor. He naturally felt a huge pressure. The other party's killing intent was like a raging sea, and he was like a small boat that could be crushed by this raging sea at any time. However, his expression was calm, without any fear. He was calm and composed. "Old man, you're going to die if you force your way in like that," Jiang Luoluo whispered. She could clearly feel how terrifying the Fan family's ancestor's aura was. However, like Lin Tian, she didn't show any fear at this time. Hearing her words, all the cultivators here were stunned. "What is she saying? The Fan family's ancestor will die. Is she scared out of her wits?" The Fan family's ancestor was an Eternal Realm expert. He was immortal and had looked down on the Xian ancient star for tens of thousands of years. He, the Xian Luo Immortal Palace's ancestor, and the Xian Divine Sex ancestor were the true rulers of the Xian ancient star. But now, a little girl, who was only in the airborne realm, said that the Fan family's ancestor who was chasing Lin Tian to this divine garden would die. This made all the cultivators here speechless. They all looked at each other, thinking that Jiang Luoluo was scared out of her wits. The eyes of the Fan clan's ancestor were cold, and his aura was chilly. Naturally, he did not care about Jiang Luoluo's words and continued to press forward. The killing intent around his body became even more frightening. When Lin Tian saw the Fan family's ancestor closing in, he didn't seem to care. His expression was still calm. In the next moment, he shifted his gaze away from the Fan family's ancestor and looked in two other directions. Almost at the same time, two powerful waves of divine might appeared in the distance, shaking the sky. In an instant, they rushed forward and stood in two different positions. They were two old men, and their qi and blood were extremely vigorous. They were not any weaker than the Fan family's grand ancestor. The ancestor of the Xian Luo Immortal Palace. The old ancestor of the Purple Yang Divine Sect. In this place, all of the cultivators were moved, recognizing these two. The Fan clan's ancestor, who was closing in on Lin Tian, couldn't help but stop and look at ancestors Xian Luo and ancestor Xian. When ancestors Xian Luo and ancestor Xian arrived, their gazes immediately fell on Lin Tian. Brilliant light intertwined in their eyes. When they looked at Lin Tian, it was as if they were looking at a peerless divine treasure. Their eyes were very open. The two of them were the same as the old ancestor of the Fan family. They were the strongest existences in their respective lineages. Normally, they would not step out of their sections. However, after learning of Lin Tian's existence, they immediately stepped out. This was because Lin Tian possessed too many extraordinary items. One was a divine pagoda forged from Hong Mang heavenly crystals, while the other was a peerless lightning technique derived from heavenly tribulations. The temptation of these two items was too great. Even as strong as they were, they could not help but be tempted. Even though the Fan family's ancestor had come here in anger because of Lin Tianxia's death, he was still thinking about Lin Tian's immortal Emperor Pagoda and 5 heaven-shaking thunders incantation. This was because the value of these two items was too great. He even felt that if he could obtain these two items, the deaths of the Fan family's ancestor and the others would not be a big deal. 1. Space distorted and ripples appeared. The 3 eternal realm auras intertwined and sealed off the surrounding void. Lin Tian glanced at the Fan family's ancestor, Xian Luo ancestor, and Ziyan ancestor. At this time, the 3 of them intertwined and sealed off the space around him, Jiang Luoluo, and the purple-scaled python. The Xian Luo Immortal Palace's ancestor and Ziyan Divine Sex ancestor stared at Lin Tian. Then, they looked away and looked at the Fan family's ancestor. Then, the 3 of them looked at each other with cold and deep eyes. His life belongs to the Fan family. We will share the thunder technique. As for the divine pagoda, we will decide who it belongs to after we obtain it, Xian Luo ancestor said. All right. Ziyan ancestor nodded. Their voices were calm and indifferent. They talked as if there was no one else around. They even ignored Lin Tian as if everything was under their control. You too! Jiang Luoluo was furious. She glared at Xian Luo and Ziyan ancestor and scolded. No matter what, you two are the strongest experts of the strongest lineages on the same ancient star. How can you snatch the treasures without any reason? Do you have any shame? Aren't you afraid of being cursed by the world? For the Fan clan old ancestor to kill his way here, no matter what, there was still some enmity between them. But as for old ancestor Xian Luo and old ancestor Ziyan, Lin Tian had no enmity with them at all. Yet, the two of them actually walked out like this, discussing with the Fan clan old ancestor right in front of Lin Tian to kill Lin Tian and seize his divine pagoda lightning art. This caused her to feel extremely hateful, wanting nothing more than to bite the two of them to death. When Xian Luo and Ziyan ancestor heard Jiang Luoluo's words, they didn't care at all. Their sects were the strongest lineages in the Purple Yen ancient star. They looked down on this world. Who would dare to curse them? So what if they cursed and scolded them? It wouldn't harm them in the slightest. On the contrary, obtaining the immortal Emperor Pagoda forged from the primordial heavenly crystal and the unparalleled lightning technique would make their respective legacies stronger and more glorious. Hence, obtaining the divine pagoda's thunder technique was a must. What do you think? Xian Luo Ancestor asked again. Ziyan Ancestor had already accepted his suggestion, so he asked the Fan family's ancestor. The Fan family's ancestor nodded. All right. After Lin Tiansha killed the Fan family's patriarch and the others, he would hand Lin Tian over to the Fan family to vent his anger. They would share the thunder technique and the primordial divine pagoda would be decided by other means later. No matter what, they would get more of it. This would prevent the three of them from fighting each other, and causing a war between the three great lineages. He naturally wouldn't have any objections. If that's the case, take him down, Xian Luo Ancestor said. Ziyan Ancestor nodded. The Fan family's ancestor's eyes were cold. The three Eternal Realm experts walked towards Lin Tian at the same time. The three Eternal Realm experts together, that man is finished. Many people's hearts palpitated. These cultivators knew how powerful Lin Tian was. He was monstrous. However, no matter how monstrous he was still a half-step Immortal Realm expert. No matter how monstrous he wouldn't be able to withstand the attacks of the Eternal Realm experts. Lin Tian stood in the void, looking at the three Eternal Realm experts approaching him. His expression was calm and there was no change in his expression. Senior, I'll have to trouble you, he said to the purple-scaled python beside him. It's my duty. The purple-scaled python nodded. It had to rely on Lin Tian to get out of this divine garden. Now that the Fan family's ancestor and Xian Luo ancestor were here to kill Lin Tian, it was already very uncomfortable. This was because they were indirectly cutting off its way out of this divine garden. Bastard! I'll make you wish you were dead! A cold voice rang out. The Fan family's ancestor was the first to make a move. He reached out his hand to grab Lin Tian. For a moment, the void rumbled and cracked. The divine energy was terrifying. The Fan family's ancestor's hand landed on Lin Tian's head in the blink of an eye. There were more than 10 types of great Dao Law intertwined on it. Lin Tian remained calm and didn't move an inch. It was also at this moment that the purple-scaled python next to him moved. It was strong and domineering, and it directly slapped out. In an instant, a majestic demonic aura soared into the sky. With a puff sound, it shattered the large hand of the Fan ancestor. Subsequently, a slap landed on the other party's head, slamming it into his chest before it exploded. Only a spirit escaped in a miserable state. It moved several thousand feet away as it looked at the purple-scaled python with a horrified expression. The purple-scaled python snorted. Its eyes moved, and 2 demonic lights rushed out, turning into 2 demon clan swords, and mercilessly slashed down. No! The Fan family's ancestor's soul screamed as it was instantly shattered. His body and soul were destroyed. What? The Fan family's ancestor is dead? He. In this place, everyone's expression changed as they looked at the purple-scaled python in horror. Jiang Luoluo shrank her neck. Although she knew how terrifying the purple-scaled python was, she couldn't help but swallow when she saw the Fan family's ancestor, who was at the early Eternal Realm, being killed so easily. So violent, she whispered. At the same time, on the other side, Ancestor Xian Luo and Ancestor Ziyan were trembling, their eyes full of shock. Half-step true immortal you. The strength of these 2 people was not ordinary. Although the purple-scaled python had only attacked for a moment, they were still able to see the level of the python. It was only half a step away from the true immortal realm. Its realm was much higher than theirs. They looked at the purple-scaled python and trembled. Then, they looked at Lin Tian and trembled even more violently. They came to this place to seize Lin Tian's immortal Emperor Pagoda and the peerless thunder technique. They thought that with their Eternal Realm cultivation, they could easily suppress Lin Tian. Then, they would take the immortal pagoda in Lin Tian's body and the peerless thunder technique Lin Tian obtained in this divine garden. But they didn't expect that there was a half-step true immortal beside Lin Tian. They had never heard of such a thing. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, without any hesitation, the two turned into streaks of light and fled into the distance. They were at the eternal state, and under normal circumstances, they were immortal and indestructible. However, if they were to face someone stronger than them and had their spirits destroyed, they would still die. It was just like what had happened to the old ancestor of the Fan family. Didn't you come to seize the treasure? Didn't you look like you had everything under control just now? Why are you running away? Jiang Luoluo mocked in a low voice. Lin Tian didn't say anything. His expression was calm. Chapter 1424. A majestic demonic aura surged, sealing off all directions and trapping everything, instantly cutting off Ancestors Xian Luo and Ancestor Xian's escape route. With two bangs, the two were shaken back and fell to the ground awkwardly. You! The two got up and staggered back. When they looked at the purple-scaled python again, cold sweat broke out on their foreheads. Who are you? Ancestor Xian Luo asked in a trembling voice. Ancestor Xian was also trembling. The demonic aura emitted by the purple-scaled python was too strong, making him feel terrified. Now you're afraid? We have no grudges, but you shamelessly came here to steal the treasure. Weren't you very arrogant just now? Jiang Luoluo said. Lin Tian didn't say anything, just looked at the two calmly. The purple-scaled python didn't say much, but directly attacked. It slapped down, enveloping Ancestors Xian Luo and Ancestor Xian at the same time. For a moment, the demonic aura shattered a large part of the void. Ancestors Xian Luo and Ancestor Xian were horrified. They immediately exerted all their strength, supporting the great Tao principles and the top super skills of their respective lineages, to meet the purple-scaled python's big hand. Boom! The divine light and demonic aura collided, shaking the sky. The next moment, the divine light in the sky shattered. Ancestors Xian Luo and Ancestor Xian were both sent flying. Their super skills and great Taos were all shattered. They both coughed up blood, and their bodies were covered with cracks. Two Eternal Realm experts joined forces, and they. In this place, a group of cultivators looked at the purple-scaled python, and many of them couldn't help but tremble. A slap shattered the full-strength attacks of two early-stage Eternal Realm experts, and seriously injured them. How terrifying was its power! Then, many people's eyes fell on Lin Tian, and they trembled again. Obviously, the purple-scaled python was attacking for Lin Tian. Where did this person come from? When did such a terrifying existence appear beside him? Many people trembled. Ancestors Xian Luo and Ancestor Xian quickly repaired their bodies. They looked at the purple-scaled python with even more fear. They retreated, then turned into lightning and fled again. They didn't want to fight head-on because they knew very well that they couldn't stop a half-step true immortal purple-scaled python. After all, they were only at the early stage of the Eternal Realm. The purple-scaled python coldly snorted. Its demonic aura fluctuated greatly, causing the space to distort. Once again, the two of them were shaken back. Bang! Bang! The two of them fell to the ground and coughed up blood. The two of them stood up after 2 breaths had passed. Their faces were filled with awe as they looked at the python. Fellow Taoists, please show mercy! Old Ancestor Xian Luo cupped his hands, his body trembling slightly. Patriarch Xian looked at Lin Tian, his voice was also trembling as he said, This little friend, the two of us were muddle-headed, we were blinded by treasures and precious techniques. This time, we came here to offend you, please forgive us. Little friend, please ask your friend to be lenient. Later, the two of us will certainly give you a suitable compensation. Little friend will be satisfied. At this time, Patriarch Xian naturally saw that the purple-scaled python was attacking for Lin Tian. As long as Lin Tian was willing to speak, the purple-scaled python would not attack the two of them. You arrogantly came here to kill and rob, and now you shamelessly beg for mercy. You're really shameless. If I were you, I would cut my own throat with a knife. Jiang Luoluo mocked them mercilessly. She really felt that the two of them were too disgusting and hateful. When Patriarch Xian Luo and Patriarch Xian heard this, their faces became livid and ugly. However, they didn't dare to say anything at this time because Jiang Luoluo was Lin Tian's friend. Their lives were now in Lin Tian's hands. Little friend, please forgive us and show mercy. Patriarch Xian Luo also cupped his hands and said to Lin Tian. Like Patriarch Xian, he was very humble at this time. Lin Tian glanced at the two of them indifferently. He was too lazy to say anything. He and Jiang Luoluo had the same feeling about the two of them. They felt that the two of them were far more hateful than the patriarch of the Fan family. How could he let the purple-scaled python show mercy to them? At the side, the purple-scaled python glanced at Lin Tian. Naturally, it understood Lin Tian's intention. Once again, it pressed down on Lin Tian. Boom! Rolling demonic power mixed with a faint wisp of genuine celestial qi enveloped Patriarch Xian Luo and Patriarch Xian at the same time. Patriarch Xian Luo and Patriarch Xian were frightened. They used all their strength to resist and supported one grand magic after another to meet the attack. However, it was useless. In the blink of an eye, their magical powers and secret techniques were shattered by the gigantic handprints of the purple-scaled python. Then, the gigantic handprints of the purple-scaled python fell on their bodies and smashed their bodies into pieces. Only their souls managed to escape. However, in the next moment, the two demonic light swords of the purple-scaled python collided with them and smashed them into pieces. At this time, the Patriarch of the Fan family, Patriarch Xian Luo Immortal Palace, and Patriarch Xian Divine Sect were all killed by the purple-scaled python. Dead? They're all dead. In this place, a group of cultivators couldn't help but tremble. How long had it been? The Patriarch of the Fan family, Patriarch Xian Luo, and Patriarch Xian, three indestructible existences of the eternal realm, were killed in this divine garden. This made the cultivators' hearts palpitate and their scalps tingle. You asked for it. Jiang Luoluo snorted. Lin Tian glanced at the blood dripping from the Patriarch of the Fan family. He looked at the purple-scaled python and said, Sorry to trouble you, Senior. It's nothing. The purple-scaled python waved its hand. For a half-step true immortal like it, killing 3 early-stage Eternal Realm cultivators was a very simple matter. Lin Tian smiled and said, Then, let's go out and leave this divine garden. He knew that the purple-scaled python was looking forward to leaving this divine garden. Good, good, good. Let's go. Let's go. The purple-scaled python nodded immediately, unable to hide the excitement in its eyes. Then, the three left this place. Lin Tian knew that the purple-scaled python was very eager to leave this divine garden, so he deliberately sped up. In the blink of an eye, they arrived at the edge of the divine garden. When they arrived here, the purple-scaled python trembled obviously, as if its monster body had been electrocuted by an invisible force. Lin Tian noticed this scene, and he was more or less able to guess that this should be related to the invisible lightning divine aura that coiled around this divine garden. That aura oppressed the surrounding space, and prevented the purple-scaled python from stepping out of this divine garden. Senior, take it easy, he said. He didn't hesitate at this time. The 5 heaven-shaking thunder's secret art operated at the first moment. Strands of thunder and lightning circled out, shrouding the purple-scaled ominous python. They covered the purple-scaled ominous python's body and entangled its spirit. The purple-scaled python trembled, and then in the next moment, its eyes jumped, giving birth to a ray of excitement. At this moment, it clearly felt that the thunder divine chi suppressing it had weakened countless times in an instant. Let's go, Senior, Lin Tian said with a smile. Chapter 1425. The ancient immortal divine garden was located in a vast sea on the Purple Spill planet. Lin Tian led the purple-scaled python and Jiang Luoluo out of the ancient immortal divine garden and appeared on a sea several thousand feet away from the ancient immortal divine garden. Here, The sea breeze was blowing and there was a salty smell in the air. The purple-scaled python looked at the ancient immortal divine garden and glanced around. Its eyes gradually widened and its monster body couldn't help but tremble. Out, out? I'm out! I'm out! Its voice was trembling. Since the ancient immortal divine garden was born, it had cultivated to the level of half-step true immortal. It had lived for countless years and had been trapped in the divine garden for countless years. Now, it had walked out of the divine garden and came to the outside world. It couldn't hide its excitement. Even though it had lived for so many years, it was as excited as a child. Congratulations, Senior! Lin Tian. He was able to understand the feelings of the violet-scaled python. To the violet-scaled python, that divine garden was like a cage that had imprisoned it for countless years. Now that it had escaped from that cage, it was like a bird that was free to fly, so it would naturally be extremely excited. The purple-scaled python was excited. It looked at Lin Tian and thanked him repeatedly. Thank you, little friend! Thank you! Thank you! For Lin Tian, taking it out of the divine garden was nothing, but for the purple-scaled python, it was like giving it a new lease of life. Senior is too polite. When the Eternal Realm ancestors of several inheritances attacked us, we were safe because of Senior's power. Later, we will have to trouble Senior to help us. Now, helping Senior to leave the divine garden is what I should do, Lin Tian said with a smile. I still have to thank you. This is too important for me, the purple-scaled python said. It glanced at the outside world with a bright light. After a dozen breaths, it calmed down a little. It looked at Lin Tian and said, By the way, little friend, didn't you want to go somewhere to find something? You can go get it now. Then I will help you find that ancient life star. Later, if you need anything, just tell me. As long as I can do it, I won't refuse. Lin Tian took it out of the divine garden. It was really grateful to Lin Tian, and now it couldn't wait to help Lin Tian. Thank you, Senior. However, these two things are not urgent. I want to spend a few days to refine the 5-colored phoenix plant and break through to the immortal realm, Lin Tian said with a smile. After that, we will go to the 3 inheritances of the 3 eternal realm ancestors who tried to kill me. They have accumulated a lot of treasures and resources over the years, and they all have genuine immortal weapons. We can take them all. Senior, you will soon break through to the true immortal realm. At that time, you will need a genuine immortal weapon. He was never a person who was willing to suffer losses. The Fan family had tried to kill him time and time again. The Xian Luo Immortal Palace and the Purple Evolved Divine Sect had tried to rob him of the Divine Pagoda Divine Technique even though they had no enmity with him. They even talked about who his life belonged to and who the Divine Pagoda Divine Technique belonged to. It could be said that they were bullying him. He naturally couldn't let it go so easily. Later, he would go to the 3 inheritances and rob them, taking all their ancient scriptures, Baodan, secret techniques, and other resources. In this way, when he returned to the 10 Directions heavenly domain, he would bring back a divine treasure that could strengthen the immortal court. Moreover, there should be many other soul treasures and heavenly materials and earthly treasures that he could give to his relatives and friends in the 10 Directions heavenly domain. When the purple-scaled python heard this, it was stunned at first, then it laughed. Kindness for kindness, hatred for hatred, this is how it should be. If there is resentment, then there is resentment. Let's do as you say. When you break through to the immortal realm, we will kill them directly. It was forthright and straightforward by nature. It already knew the general reason why the Fan family ancestor and the Xian Luo immortal ancestor went to the divine garden to kill Lin Tian. It knew that Lin Tian was unhappy. Now that Lin Tian wanted to rob the 3 inheritances, in its opinion, it should be done. Resentment should not be bottled up in one's heart. Resentment had to be vented out. On the other hand, as Lin Tian said, it would break through to the true immortal realm soon and would need a suitable genuine immortal weapon. Therefore, it was naturally very happy to go to the inheritances of Lin Tian and seize a genuine immortal weapon. This is really. Beside them, Jiang Luoluo looked at Lin Tian and the purple-scaled python and could not help but shrink her neck. She only felt that these two were really ruthless. They actually wanted to rob the Fan family, Xian Luo Immortal Palace, and Purple Evolving Divine Sect directly. Let's go. Lin Tian now. He glanced at the ancient Immortal Divine Garden in the sea area and did not stop for a moment. He left with the purple-scaled python and Jiang Luoluo and went all the way south. After about a day, they appeared in a desert area in the southernmost part of the purple evolving ancient star. As far as the eye could see, the desert was boundless and there was no trace of life in it. It took you a day to come to such a desolate place to refine the 5-colored phoenix plant. What are you thinking? Jiang Luoluo stared at Lin Tiandao and asked. Generally speaking, if one needed to choose a place to refine a treasure of heaven and earth, they would usually choose a place with abundant spiritual qi. But now, Lin Tian had spent a whole day to come to such a desolate desert. Except for its vastness, there was no other advantage. The spiritual qi was very thin, which made her feel strange. Not only her, but even the purple-scaled python, who was a half-step to true immortal realm, was a little curious and did not understand. You will know in a few days, Lin Tian said with a smile. He did not say anything and asked the purple-scaled python and Jiang Luoluo to wait for him at the edge of the desert. Then, he walked to the center of the desert and found a stone in the center of the desert and sat down cross-legged on it. The temperature in the desert was very high, but it was nothing to him. He sat cross-legged on the stone and operated the Heart Sutra of Sun until his essence, qi, and spirit reached the peak of his current cultivation. Then, he took out the 5-colored phoenix plant. The 5-colored phoenix plant was like a phoenix. Its leaves were 5-colored, and its flowers were 5-colored. When it was taken out, it emitted a very strong fragrance with a faint special spiritual qi, which made people feel refreshed. Buzz! He did not hesitate and began to refine the 5-colored phoenix plant with the Heart Sutra of Sun and began to absorb its essence to cultivate. Suddenly, the golden divine light outside his body began to become stronger, burning like a golden flame. His essence, qi, and spirit rose bit by bit. His cultivation also gradually increased. According to this trend, he will enter the immortal realm in about 3 days. At the edge of the desert, the purple-scaled python said, This guy, his cultivation is improving too fast. When we met last time, he was only at the peak of the Emperor Space realm. Only a few months have passed, and he is already about to enter the immortal realm. Really? Jiang Luoluo muttered. Lin Tian sat cross-legged in the center of the desert, operating the Heart Sutra of Sun to refine the 5-colored phoenix plant. Several hours passed in a flash. Buzz! The golden light outside his body became stronger, and the essence, qi, and spirit he emitted became stronger. The Fan family of the desolation. WH. What? The old ancestor is dead? A frightened voice came from the Fan family. A middle-stage immortal realm elder of the family trembled, his eyes full of fear. Just a moment ago, the news came that the old ancestor of their family went to the Divine Garden to kill Lin Tian. However, he was killed by a terrifying figure beside Lin Tian. The old ancestor's body and spirit were destroyed. At the same time, someone in the family's soul palace came to report that the soul of the old ancestor of the Fan family, who was standing in the soul palace, was shattered. The soul fire inside was completely extinguished. How? How is this possible? The old ancestor was… No! This shouldn't be, it shouldn't be. In an instant, the entire Fan family fell into fear. The old ancestor of the Fan family was the strongest person of this generation of the Fan family. He was at the eternal realm and was immortal and indestructible. He was the key reason why their family looked down on the Xian planet. He was the strongest pillar of their family, but now he was killed outside their family. At the same time, the Xian Luo Immortal Palace and the Purple Yen God Sect also learned that their strongest old ancestor had been killed in the Divine Garden. Their high-level figures panicked. How? How could this be? How could this happen? Didn't that person only have a young woman who hasn't even reached the immortal realm? When did a half-step true immortal realm powerhouse appear? Old ancestor, the Xian Luo Immortal Palace and the Purple Yen God Sect were terrified. Their strongest powerhouses had been killed just like that. In the southernmost desert of the Xian planet, Buzz. In the center of the desert, the golden light outside Lin Tian's body became even more blazing. The great Tao laws also became stronger. At the same time, his essence, qi, and spirit became more vigorous. His cultivation base was even closer to the immortal realm. He could feel the changes in his body. He could feel that he was not far away from the immortal realm. He immediately refined the 5-colored phoenix plant more diligently. He used the essence qi inside to cultivate and improve his essence, qi, spirit, and cultivation base at a faster speed. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. On this day, the 5-colored phoenix plant was completely refined by him. A tyrannical divine power suddenly spread out from his body, creating hurricanes around him and rolling up yellow sand. The immortal realm has rushed in. At the edge of the desert, the purple-scaled python spoke. A light flashed in its eyes and it couldn't help but smile. So fast. Jiang Luoluo's eyes flickered. Lin Tian's cultivation speed was really frightening. In the center of the desert, Lin Tian opened his eyes. He naturally knew that he had entered the immortal realm. He slightly clenched his fist and felt the tyrannical power. He was completely different from when he was half-step immortal realm. It was like the difference between heaven and earth. Good. He muttered to himself. A light flashed in his eyes. At the same time, there was a loud bang. The sky trembled and a huge thunder resounded through the 9 heavens. Chapter 14:26. Thunder rumbled, resounding through the heavens and the earth. At this moment, pitch-black clouds gathered in the sky, forming a huge thundercloud vortex in an instant. Lightning interweaved within it, like a terrifying thunder dragon. It was terrifying and frightening. This is the heavenly tribulation. The purple fierce python was shocked. Someone broke through to the immortal realm here and attracted the tribulation? But there's no one nearby. Jiang Luoluo was shocked. And the power of the heavenly tribulation, how could it be attracted by someone at the immortal realm? Boom! Thunder roared and rolled. The world became darker, and the destructive aura suppressed all directions. The purple fierce python looked around, looking for the person who was going through the heavenly tribulation. Then, its pupils constricted. It saw the dark thundercloud vortex in the sky above Lin Tian's head. The center of the vortex was aimed at Lin Tian. This, could it be? Its expression changed. At the same time, Jiang Luoluo also noticed this. The thundercloud vortex seemed to have locked onto Lin Tian. No way! This heavenly tribulation was attracted by him? She looked at Lin Tian in the center of the desert, and couldn't help but tremble. At this moment, Lin Tian stood in the center of the desert under the dark thundercloud vortex and said, "Senior Luoluo, please step back. I'm going through the heavenly tribulation." As soon as he finished speaking, another thunder roared and shook all directions. The lightning in the dark thundercloud became denser. You really attracted it? This? Jiang Luoluo and the purple fierce python's eyelids twitched. Although they had seen that the heavenly tribulation might be targeting Lin Tian and was attracted by Lin Tian, they still couldn't help but be surprised when they heard Lin Tian say that he was going through the heavenly tribulation. An Emperor Realm cultivator who had entered the immortal realm had attracted the heavenly tribulation? They had never seen such a thing before. Boom! The thunder roared and became more violent. The thundercloud in the sky became thicker and thicker, as if it was going to crush everything. During this time, the blood-red lightning bolts connected one after another, completely covering the space within a radius of 100,000 feet. Rumbling sounds could be heard as the aura of destruction enveloped the surroundings. Before the lightning descended, the desert was already greatly shaken, and large cracks appeared one after another. Jiang Luoluo trembled. She deeply felt the terror of the lightning in the sky. It was as if it could destroy everything. Even the powerful purple-scaled python, which was a half-step true immortal, couldn't help but shiver slightly. At the same time, they finally understood why Lin Tian chose to come here to refine the five-colored phoenix root in order to break through to the sempiternal realm. He must have known that he would attract a terrifying heavenly tribulation after breaking through to the sempiternal realm, and was worried that he would implicate others. Dong! Thunder rumbled, and the world became even darker. The destructive fluctuations from the tribulation lightning grew stronger. This kind of lightning force. Jiang Luoluo shivered. She thought that even a peak of immortal realm expert couldn't resist such a heaven punishment. Little friend, let me help you break through the tribulation, the purple-scaled python said and walked forward. Of course, it could also see the terror of this lightning punishment. It could definitely destroy an ordinary peak of immortal realm expert, so it thought that Lin Tian couldn't resist it. After all, although Lin Tian was extraordinary, he had just stepped into the immortal realm. Thank you, Semir. But no need. I'll go through it myself. Lin Tian. He looked at the heaven punishment thundercloud in the sky and could clearly feel its terror. But now, he wasn't afraid of it. He took a deep breath. Then, he activated the five thunders sky-shaking art. Immediately, a powerful thunderbolt gushed out from his body. Strands of silver lightning intertwined around him, making crackling noises. As the thunderbolt aura gushed out, the thundercloud vortex in the sky trembled. The dense tribulation lightning in the black thundercloud vortex seemed to be disturbed. It's the same as the thunderbolt aura in the ancient immortal divine garden. Did he use the thunder technique of Zongshin? The purple-scaled python's eyes moved. It stood at the edge of the desert, and looked at Lin Tian seriously. Then, it stepped back and didn't move forward. At this time, as Lin Tian activated the five heaven-shaking lightning arts and interweaved with that astonishing lightning aura, it felt that Lin Tian was different at this time. It was as if he had transformed into an ancient lightning god, his aura oppressive. He can get through it! Its eyes shone with a strange light. At this moment, it felt that Lin Tian could definitely break through this immortal tribulation. However, even though it had this feeling, it still stared at the field seriously. If Lin Tian couldn't handle it, it would help him immediately. Lightning crackled. In the center of the desert, Lin Tian was surrounded by lightning. Like the Thunder King, he looked up at the heaven punishment thundercloud in the sky. Come on! He looked at the sky and said, Boom! The sky shook fiercely. The oppressive aura became thicker, and the destructive fluctuation became more intense. Within the pitch-black thundercloud vortex, there seemed to be a sovereign of heavenly punishment. At this moment, it seemed to feel that Lin Tian was provoking him, but it also seemed like the lightning punishment had just finished brewing. The first round of heavenly lightning directly descended, striking towards Lin Tian. For a moment, wherever the heavenly thunder passed, the space collapsed directly. Then, in the blink of an eye, the heavenly thunder appeared above Lin Tian's head and struck down mercilessly. Watch out! Jiang Luoluo shouted in the distance. She could clearly feel the horror of this heavenly thunder. It could definitely kill any ordinary expert at the middle stage of the immortal realm in an instant. Lin Tian stood quietly at his spot. Facing the first round of heavenly punishment, he operated the five thunders sky-shaking art. Strands of silver lightning intertwined at the tip of his fist. He directly threw a punch. Boom! With a violent boom, his fist collided with the first round of heavenly punishment. Thunderous splendor filled the sky. Then, with a crisp sound, the first round of heavenly punishment was smashed into pieces by his punch, turning into starlight filling the sky. He only used one punch to smash that round of heavenly punishment. Outside the barren desert, Jiang Luoluo couldn't help but shiver. Even the mighty purple-scaled python was startled. The power of that round of heavenly punishment was really intimidating. However, Lin Tian had smashed it into pieces with just one punch. Lin Tian stood in the center of the barren desert, lowering his head to look at his fist. Looking at the silver lightning intertwining at the tip of his fist, his eyes couldn't help but sparkle. The first round of heavenly punishment was really intimidating. However, when he operated the 5 thunder sky shaking art, the power of this round of heavenly punishment was greatly weakened. It became unstable, which was why he could smash it with just one punch. Moreover, after operating the 5 thunder sky shaking art, he was sensitive enough to feel that his resistance to the power of heavenly punishment had increased a lot. It works! When he had known that the 5 thunder sky shaking art was derived from heavenly punishment, he had guessed that this thunder technique would be of great help to him when he crossed the heavenly punishment in the future. And now, he was sure that his guess wasn't wrong. Again! He gazed at the sky and said, "Boom!" Almost at the same time he said this, the pitch-black lightning vortex in the sky trembled and became even more turbulent. Dense lightning bolts rolled in it, and then it turned into a rain of lightning that filled the sky and pressed down on the ground. Crack! 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 Everywhere this thunderstorm passed, the void was instantly annihilated, and spatial turbulence poured out wantonly. For a moment, the desert was swept by a fierce wind. Yellow sand was blown into the air by the hurricane, and the scene was terrifying. Lin Tian stood in the desert. The black hair in front of his forehead danced wildly in the wind, but his expression didn't change at all. His eyes were calm, and silver lightning intertwined on the surface of his body. He activated the 5 thunder sky shaking art, and streaks of silver lightning rushed out from his body like thunder dragons, toward the dense thunderstorm that was falling from the sky. Boom! 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 A violent explosion reverberated. The silver lightning mixed with the power of the 5 thunder sky shaking art shattered the thunderbolts of heavenly punishment. In the blink of an eye, the second round of heavenly punishment collapsed and dissipated into nothingness. He clenched his fist and looked up at the thunder vortex in the sky. Silver lightning intertwined on the surface of his body, making sizzling sounds. Boom! The thunder vortex vibrated, and thunder rumbled again. In the huge thunder vortex, the third round of heavenly punishment appeared. It was a thunder river, and its aura was extremely oppressive. Then, in the next moment, 2 more thunder rumbled. The 4th and 5th round of heavenly punishment appeared together. They only paused for a moment, and then they fell together with the 3rd round of heavenly punishment. There were calamity thunderbolts as thick as mountains around them, as if they were going to destroy the Xian ancient star. The destructive power was terrifying. Seeing this, Jiang Luoluo couldn't help but gasp. This heavenly punishment of heavenly punishment was too terrifying. She estimated that even an expert at the peak of the immortal realm would be destroyed in an instant. Even the powerful purple-scaled fierce python couldn't help but squint. It was not that the 3 rounds of heavenly punishment made it feel threatened and pressured. It was at the level of a half-step true immortal. Even if the heavenly punishment was several times stronger, it wouldn't have any effect on it. What surprised it was that not only did Lin Tian attract the thunder tribulation when he broke through the immortal realm, but the thunder tribulation he attracted was so terrifying. It seemed that it didn't leave any chance for Lin Tian to survive. It was simply destroying for the sake of destruction. Boom! The 3 rounds of heavenly punishment fell. Thunder rumbled, and the aura was terrifying. Lin Tian was in the desert, but he was still calm and composed. He was not afraid of the 3 rounds of heavenly punishment. He stood in the middle of the desert, and his hands quickly formed seals to run the 5 thunder sky shaking art faster. Then, the silver lightning on the surface of his body vibrated, and in an instant, it became denser and denser, striking toward the 3 rounds of heavenly punishment. Chi! With a crisp sound, the 3rd round of heavenly punishment was smashed into pieces in an instant. Then, the 4th and 5th round of heavenly punishment trembled, and in the blink of an eye, they were also smashed by the silver lightning. Chapter 14:27. The 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds were all shattered by Lin Tian in the blink of an eye. Jiang Luoluo was really shocked. This guy is really scary. And that thunder technique can actually interfere with and restrain the heavenly tribulation to a certain extent. It's really... She shivered. The heavenly tribulation was the most mysterious and scary thing. It was not Tao, but Tao. Now, the thunder technique that Lin Tian obtained in the divine garden seemed to be able to restrain the power of the heavenly tribulation to a certain extent. She found it hard to believe. Boom! Thunder roared, resounding in all directions. Above the desert, the sky was pitch black. Bolts of tribulation lightning surged in the thundercloud vortex, exuding a terrifying destructive aura. Lin Tian stood in the center of the desert, silver arcs of lightning crisscrossing his body. He looked up at the terrifying heavenly tribulation without fear. Continue. He looked at the sky and said. The 5 heaven-shaking thunders incantation protected his body. At this moment, facing this heavenly tribulation, he was calm and composed. He was no longer as cautious as before. Boom! Thunder rolled, and an even more shocking roar sounded. The ruler of the thunder punishment seemed to be extremely dissatisfied with Lin Tian's provocation. This time, the 6th round of tribulation lightning appeared. It was a vast and boundless group of thunder mountains. There were countless of them, as if they had come from the eternal unknown. Crack, crack, crack. As the 2 rounds of tribulation lightning fell together, the entire desert began to crumble. Lin Tian stood in the desert, lightning crisscrossing his body. His expression was still calm as he faced the 6th round of tribulation lightning. With a buzz, the silver lightning outside his body became even more intense. He formed the thunder mudra with one hand, and a halberd made completely of silver lightning appeared in front of his chest. Then, the silver lightning condensed into a real dragon, circling around the halberd. Thunder Dragon Sky Halberd! He raised his hand, grabbed the halberd with the thunder dragon circling around his chest, and threw it into the sky. With a whoosh, the thunder dragon circled around the thunder halberd and went up into the sky, directly piercing through a huge void tunnel. In an instant, it collided with the 6th round of the main thunder punishment that was pressing down from the sky, erupting with a monstrous thunder light. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The mountains of tribulation lightning shattered. After a few breaths, the 6th round of tribulation lightning was completely destroyed. So strong! In the distance, Jiang Luoluo stared at this scene and couldn't help but gasp. Such a terrifying heavenly tribulation of lightning punishment could easily kill an expert at the peak of the sempiternal realm. But now, it was shattered by Lin Tian's lightning halberd divine ability. This made her shrink her neck involuntarily. Even the half-step true immortal purple-scaled python was startled. It was startled by Lin Tian's strength, and also by Lin Tian's thunder technique divine ability. Dong! Claps of thunder rang out in the sky. The thunderclouds became even more turbulent. More and more blood-red lightning bolts appeared, becoming denser and denser. The moment the 6th round of tribulation lightning shattered, the thundercloud vortex trembled violently, and the 7th round of tribulation lightning appeared, interweaving into a huge tribulation lightning waterfall. It mercilessly pressed down, and everywhere it passed, the space was crushed into pieces. Then, almost in the next instant, 2 more thunderous booms rang out, and the 8th and 9th round of the main lightning punishment appeared together. With a loud boom, the sky seemed to be on the verge of collapsing. The destructive power was appalling. Suddenly, the desert trembled even more violently. Dense cracks appeared and spread out in all directions like a spiderweb. The surface of the desert even sank down. In the blink of an eye, it had sunk a few feet deep. Such a lightning punishment was undeniably terrifying. It sent chills down one's spine, and it stirred up violent hurricanes in the desert. Lin Tian stood in the desert, his clothes flapping in the wind. At this moment, he finally felt a wave of pressure. However, his expression was still calm, and there was no fear in it. After mastering the 5 heavenly thunders skill, his ability to withstand the power of the heavenly tribulation was much stronger than before. With a loud boom, he circulated the 5 heavenly thunders skill even faster, and the silver lightning around his body became even more intense. Then, in the next moment, an immortal tiger appeared behind him. It was dozens of feet long, and it was completely formed by silver lightning. There was a thunder sword interwoven with silver lightning in it, and it exuded a domineering thunder divine power. Silver Lotus Tiger Slaying Sword! His voice was low and deep. The immortal tiger divine sword, which was condensed from silver lightning, rushed toward the firmament. It was as if a real immortal spirit divine tiger was carrying a divine sword to attack the great world. The scene was shocking. In the blink of an eye, the offensive superpower of the 5 heavenly thunders skill collided with the descending tribulation lightning. Chi! 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 Soft sounds were heard, and the surrounding void was annihilated. The 3 rounds of the main lightning punishment were instantly destroyed. In the distance, Jianluoluo opened her mouth, but she did not say a word for a long time. The 3 rounds of the main lightning punishment were more than twice as terrifying as the previous 6 rounds of lightning punishment. Its destructive power was terrifying. But now, it was so easily destroyed by Lin Tian's superpower of the thunder technique. Amazing! The purple-scaled python's eyes shone with a strange light, and it praised sincerely. At this moment, another roar sounded in the dark sky. The thundercloud vortex did not disappear, and a large number of lightning bolts appeared again. Each of them was about 10 feet thick, and each of them seemed to be able to easily crush everything. As soon as they appeared, the space in all directions cracked. The oppressive and destructive aura became more intense, and the world seemed to be on the verge of collapsing. Since ancient times, the heavenly tribulation has a limit of 9. How could he have a 10th round of lightning punishment? Jianluoluo's expression changed. The purple-scaled python was also surprised. However, it thought that Lin Tian had attracted a heavenly tribulation when he was advancing to the immortal realm. This was abnormal and could not be explained by common sense. Therefore, it was not surprising that the number of lightning punishments in the heavenly tribulation exceeded 9. Boom! Thunder rolled, and the sky shook. The 10th round of the main lightning punishment appeared, and without any pause, it pressed down on Lin Tian mercilessly. Suddenly, a fierce wind swept across the desert, and every inch of the space within a radius of 10,000 feet was filled with destructive power. Lin Tian looked up at the sky. The pressure was several times stronger than before, and he felt a little threatened. However, his expression was still calm. He circulated the 5 heaven-shaking lightning technique more vigorously, and he faced the 10th round of the heavenly tribulation with silver lightning. Boom! The two collided, and the void and the desert trembled. After more than 10 breaths, the collision stopped. The 10th round of the heavenly tribulation collapsed, and Lin Tian's legs sank deep into the yellow sand. His clothes were slightly damaged, and there was a trickle of blood at the corner of his mouth. Although he had mastered the 5 heaven-shaking lightning technique, which was derived from the heavenly tribulation, and used its powerful offensive superpowers, he was still injured by the 10th round of the heavenly tribulation. However, the injury was not too serious. Continue. He circulated the nirvana of the sun, and healed his injured body in an instant. Then, he looked at the sky and said, as the one who was going through the heavenly tribulation, he could sense his own heavenly tribulation and knew that it would continue. Boom! Almost as soon as he finished speaking, the sky exploded, and the 11th round of the heavenly tribulation appeared and pressed down mightily. In the distance, Jianluoluo's expression changed again. There's an 11th round? Shocking thunder resounded in all directions. In the sky, the 11th round of the heavenly tribulation pressed down, and the surrounding space was enveloped. The great void was collapsing piece by piece. Lin Tian looked up at the sky, and his expression became serious. He circulated the 5 heaven-shaking lightning technique faster. Boom! Silver lightning intertwined around him. He waved his hands and caught a silver lightning bolt, and used it as a weapon to slash at the sky. At the same time, he rose from the ground, and the silver lightning around his body vibrated, turning into thunder swords that slashed at the sky. In the blink of an eye, the silver lightning intertwined by the 5 heaven-shaking lightning technique collided with the lightning formed by the heavenly tribulation. Thunder and lightning filled the sky, and the entire space was distorted and shattered. The spatial turbulence was shattered as soon as it appeared. Cough! Lin Tian coughed up blood. A bolt of heavenly tribulation lightning landed on his chest, and it exploded into a bloody light. However, his expression did not change. He attacked with the 5 heaven-shaking lightning technique, shattering the heavenly tribulation lightning one after another. After a few breaths, the 12th round of the heavenly tribulation lightning was shattered. His clothes were stained with blood, and he was seriously injured. Almost as soon as the 12th round of the heavenly tribulation lightning ended, the sky exploded, and the 13th round of the heavenly tribulation lightning descended. Lin Tian used the nirvana of the sun to heal his injured body, and used the 5 heaven-shaking lightning technique to attack. He charged against the heavenly tribulation lightning under the sea of thunder. For a moment, lightning against lightning, thunder against thunder. The entire space was filled with destructive thunder power. There was thunder power from the 5 heaven-shaking lightning technique, and also thunder power from the heavenly tribulation. Boom! The thunder did not stop, and it shook the sky. Lin Tian used the 5 heaven-shaking lightning technique to resist the heavenly tribulation. Then, as time passed, the 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th rounds of the heavenly tribulation lightning descended one after another, and he resisted them all. Dong! After the 17th round of the heavenly tribulation lightning passed, the most ear-piercing sound of thunder exploded, and heaven and earth shook violently. The 18th round of the heavenly tribulation lightning appeared. At this moment, the sky was filled with shadows. There were angels with broken wings, headless knights, immortals with broken arms, ferocious ghosts, ferocious savage beasts, and blind blood shadows. In an instant, the entire space was darkened, and the oppressive and destructive aura was extremely dense. Then, in the next moment, the dense shadows of thunder and lightning pressed down mightily. Lin Tian was now covered in blood. Although he had mastered the 5 heaven-shaking lightning technique, he had resisted the 17th round of the heavenly tribulation lightning consecutively, and he was severely injured. Along the way, his body was shattered a few times, and his divine power was somewhat insufficient. Even so, he did not show a trace of fear. Facing the 18th round of the heavenly tribulation lightning descending from the sky, his eyes were full of determination. It's the last round. Light intertwined in his eyes, and with a boom, he circulated the 5 heaven-shaking lightning technique to the limit of his current cultivation level. He then propped up the reincarnation diagram of the king's territory, and the Great Tao laws to condense the reincarnation diagram of the Great Tao. Then, he injected the origin thunder power of the 5 heaven-shaking lightning technique into the reincarnation diagram of the Great Tao and charged towards the 18th round of the heavenly tribulation lightning in the sky. In the blink of an eye, the two collided, and in an instant the sky was filled with divine light. Terrifying gales swept in all directions, and the desert collapsed and shattered again. The destructive fluctuations covered everything. At this moment, the great world seemed to be trembling, and it finally calmed down after dozens of breaths. Then, after a few breaths, smoke and dust intertwined, and the thundercloud vortex in the sky began to dissipate slowly. Heaven and earth became bright again, and only wisps of electric arcs intertwined in the air, making crackling sounds. As far as the eye could see, the vast desert was almost completely destroyed, and there were large pits and charred black everywhere. Lin Tian stood in the center of the desert, his body in tatters and dripping with blood. In many places, even his bones and internal organs could be seen. It was a terrifying sight. I withstood it. He looked at the sky that had regained its brightness and smiled with difficulty. For the latest novel updates, please visit the website. You're tuning into the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.